The walls of time are breaking down. You need to listen. The only way to save the universe. Watch Type 40.
Hey, happy Thursday. Time for Type 40 Live, your live stream Doctor Who show, materializing here on the Spacebook channel, whatever time stream or time zone that you're joining us from. Welcome. Yes, this is Type 40 Live, hitting your screen in real time with our brand of interdimensional, transcendental content and conversation here on YouTube and Facebook and across all major podcatchers too. We're in front of a live chat full of friends, fans and companions just like you as always. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. This is where we talk about the world's longest running best loved sci-fi and fantasy series and the whole Whooniverse around it, both on and off screen. He says as he clears his throat professionally. I'm Dan Hadley, Birmingham's king of the geeks, and whoever you are, we're going to find out in a moment. So if you're commenting, yes, you are commenting, brilliant. Please keep the comments coming on YouTube, the world's largest streaming platform, and on Facebook in the Type 40 Facebook group and over on the Facebook page. Hello there, everyone. Now, if you are on Facebook, what have you got to do? Hit the blue link, hit the blue link, and then Facebook will tell StreamYard who you are. StreamYard tells us. We all get on first name terms, and the conversation, the comments, and the gags, same old gags, of course. You keep laughing, I'll keep telling them. They come thick and fast. So get involved by all means, and like the video now. You're going to be having far too much fun later on, aren't they, Charlotte?
Of course they are. Hello, everybody.
Hello. How are you this week? Oh, you're layering up as well, like me. I've got 3 shirts.
I was in the snow today, stood outside for a good chunk of time. So, yeah, I was like having my big, thick jumper on today.
Oh, thrown out the pub?
That'd be more fun than what I was doing. But, yeah.
Yes, because, of course, this is it. It descends on Britain and makes us all miserable. We're either talking about the weather or talking about food, or sometimes both.
Yeah, and also I work in, it's a lovely building, but it's a proper old building, so heating takes a while to get going.
Bit drafty, is it?
Yeah, very high ceilings. So it's one of those type of old buildings.
Well, do you know what's guaranteed to make us both feel better?
I don't know. What's going to make us feel both better?
Knowing that on the other side of the world, somebody has not only got up and done some time traveling already, and they're in the very next day, but they're also in a completely different climate. Climate? Matt? Oh, that's a spoiler, isn't it? Yeah, it's Matt Pop from Tasmania.
I was going to say, you tried to set it up and then you just said it.
I have been thinking of a change name. Yeah, it's better than Cyber Matt.
Hello, mate. How are you? Good?
Hello.
How are you this morning, sir? Have you brushed your... Can you still taste the toothpaste?
Yeah, just a bit, and plus I'm having coffee on top of it, so it's really good. And orange juice. Have you ever had orange juice and toothpaste together? They really work together.
Not deliberately.
No.
No, I was going to say not deliberately.
Sounds like a hangover cure.
Oh, very much so. All we do down here is drink. Come on.
Fair enough. How do you feel about...
It's like a whinging pom for the weather.
So how do you feel about the pudding bowl TARDIS here, the console room this week? It's from 1972, I think, this one.
I was going to say
Oh.
it's first or second Doctor, isn't it, to look at that?
It's the
Well, that
third
would be the
Doctor.
third.
Oh, right.
This is the
1972.
mixing bowl wall. Yeah.
Wow.
I've always really liked this one.
I don't think they've released that season yet on Blu-ray, so it wouldn't be in high definition.
It's coming up. It's coming up soon, as I understand. Okay, who else have we got? Who else is coming up? We have, first of all, as he finished his starter or his main course, I'm not entirely sure, but he's here anyway. It's the one, the only, mega geeky Ian David Dears.
I'm still eating, by the way.
We'd be disappointed if you weren't, mate.
I was going to say, it wouldn't be Ian if he wasn't eating.
Absolutely.
You're not eating, you're grazing, aren't you?
I'm grazing, eating, and drinking. Actually, I don't get enough time to eat actually because I'm always bloody working, so it's very annoying. But yeah,
always on the go.
How you doing, Matt? All right?
Yeah, I'm all right. How are you, Ian?
I'm okay. Actually, I've got to brush my teeth after this. Actually,
scintillating
If you're eating
conversation
Doritos,
guaranteed
definitely.
on this Type 40 Live, everybody. Please like the video now. Subscribe to the channel, particularly if you like Matt's suggestion there about toothpaste and orange juice.
Orange juice.
Hit the cloister bell so you get the notifications about what we're doing next, when we're doing it, all that jazz here on the Spacebook channel. Now, we have a guest this week. We have a guest. He brings with him speculation. He brings with him information. He brings a very finely trimmed beard, a great voice, and an exclusive later on. So I'm told. You wouldn't think this. He's got such a kind face, and yet he is the master of the prison planet known as Cygnus Alpha. He's back on the show after a big... I can't remember the last time he was on. Ian Kubiak, welcome back.
Hello, good evening. Hello, what an introduction.
Ian Kubiak and friend. Who's your friend?
Yes. Hello. Hello.
Hello. So what I want to know is, has the Dalek got you, or have you got the Dalek? Where's the power in the relationship?
The power was in my wife, who got it for me for just over a year ago for my 40th birthday. And I had no idea. And so it lives in my office here. And it comes to work with me when I work from home, and does all Cygnus Alpha event related stuff as well. So there we go.
So if anybody gets out of line, like doesn't any of the guests sort of decide, say, oh well, I'm not sure if I can make it or not, you just make sure the Dalek sort of got their number.
Have you checked inside it? There might be a man inside it.
There's actually. I've checked inside.
Gave it to you.
I've checked inside, and 10th Planet Part 4's inside there, so I'll just keep it in there.
Keep that
We won't tell anybody, Ian.
Oh, fantastic stuff. So we think this is from season 9, this console room.
Yeah,
there we are.
From the Time Monster.
The Time Monster. And is this the one that, or one of the ones, I think it happened to several sets, didn't it? They warped when they were in storage, and so they never got seen again.
I remember reading that that the producer ended up not liking it, or the director or somebody, and they just went, let's go back to what we had originally. And then I think the next time we see it is, I don't know if we see the inside of the TARDIS again that season, but I remember like in the Three Doctors, which is the following season, season 10, it's back with proper roundels. But it's quite interesting because the Doctor says, oh, I've been doing it up a bit, but the Masters looks exactly the same.
Very, very strange. It's almost as if they've got some sort of psychic link. Contact. I think we should make contact with everybody watching in the live chat on YouTube and Facebook and see who's tuned in to listen to all this nonsense. What do you think, everybody? Should go.
Yeah.
Okay, good evening, one and all. Welcome back. Who's here? First of all, Lord Thoth's here on the clock, as always. Lord Thoth with a hi, everyone. Greetings from the snowy wastelands of Wales, says the Darren Zone. Hope you're not stuck up a little incline there.
I was going to say, Darren, you didn't need a sledge this morning, did you?
Yeah, let us know that you're okay, Darren. Good to see you. Peter Harrington says, good evening to you all in time and space. I'm chilling in Liverpool. We're all chilling everywhere. But I know there's a warm spell due here on this channel. Flattery you. Good to have you back, Peter. Crimpling Doubloons here as well with his customary ahoy shipmates. Good to see you, buddy. and so is Richard Brooks too. And they're all slapping one another on the back like old mates, slamming themselves down in the snug in the lamb and flag on a Thursday night. Good evening. I hope you're all well. Says Julian Raxel. You okay? You all right there, Ian?
We are. We're all happy. Well, I don't know about Ian Kubrick, but he's not happy.
He'll get there.
He'll get there.
I don't do happy.
Ben says, hi, everyone. Can't wait for Type 40 tonight and can't wait for Red Nose Day. You got to wait a little while for Red Nose Day. I can. Raymond Williams says, good evening, Space Bookers. Good evening to you too. And so does Richard Brooks as well. They're saying hello to everybody. Can't keep up. We've got Retro Doc in here as well. Where are you, Retro Doc? There he is. Yes, I could see him somewhere. Gary. And Sadako24
Hi,
says,
Sadako.
Hi, all. I always think that's that game that you fill in, isn't it? The numbers.
I think so. Is it?
Kelly says, wow, lots of people here already. One more now, Kelly. Thanks for being here. Wouldn't have been the same without you. We waited to start until you were here, obviously. And you, Sam. Sam says, hello, everyone. Hi, Sam. Yeah, it's good to... We've got Tune there from Richard Brooks and the Primord Infectant, who it still hasn't cleared up. You need to get a prescription for this, mate. You really do. But best of luck with that.
Cream's the best.
Not the orange juice and toothpaste there. Hi, all from Woodhouse 122. What's on Woodhouse's turntable there?
I got one of them. Well, I used to have one of them.
See. Yeah, it looks good. But it's probably Blondie, something like that from the 70s. Evening all, says Paul Murray. And we've got a hello all from Eastlyn Burkholder. Oh, just in is not Brian with an evening all. His picture looks a bit like you, Ian. I don't know what's going on there. Did you know that Ian was coming on tonight? Brian?
Brian always has that picture. Always.
And Jack Thursby asks, how? Seriously, how is it Thursday again? It's almost like you're stuck in a time loop, isn't it, Jack? Look, it could be worse. You could be Christopher Eccleston. I don't know if you've seen. We may be a little cold tonight here, Matt. I mean, I'm not going to rub this in. You've got to feel sorry for us. We're all quite cold here in Great Britain. But spare a thought for Chris Eccleston. If you think we've got it bad, he's gone to Iceland. No, not that one. The country. And he's reported back with this picture because you wouldn't think it, but Chris uses social media quite a lot, Ian. I don't know if you've seen this. So he's out and about in Iceland and he has come across here the Icelandic Penis Museum. It's the one and only of its kind in the world. Strange. And yeah, so he's obviously taking some time out there. And I can't read Icelandic apart from the top bar, but I like their sort of coat of arms there. We get those sort of blue plaques when they put up a thing.
Just looks like someone's done a bit of graffiti.
It does, doesn't it? So yeah, obviously, if you want to know the good tourist places to hang out, it looks like that Chris Eccleston, it could be the Instagram account to follow. Ian, what do you think?
Which Ian? Is he out there making a film or something, or is he just out there on a holiday?
I think we could be out there. Maybe he's trying to submit his own, maybe get it measured up, see if it's worth putting in the museum. I don't know. I don't know.
Who knows?
I don't know what the criteria is.
I think he's a travelling escort at the moment.
Could be. So
I was going to say, if he was going on holiday, Iceland suits Chris. Let's be honest.
Is it the only place?
He was there about 10 years ago, remember? Because he filmed Thor there, didn't he?
So yeah, so he must be that down there doing a TV show or a film or something like that.
Yeah,
so I mean,
it'd be a reason.
Yeah. There's no reason.
It's not like, let's go to Iceland.
Yeah, I mean, it's not the kind of place you'd pick out, would it? I mean, just to go and visit, I guess. But
apparently, Bill Murray, he actually plays with the World Globe and then puts his finger on something.
Yeah,
and
he
then,
does that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then he goes there.
And he goes, yeah.
It's cool.
Fair enough. Speaking about going places, sadly, she can't be here tonight, but Shah does send her love and her apologies. Who knows where that girl is? But you caught up with Shah earlier in the week, didn't you, Ian? So talking about looking cold, you weren't at the Penis Museum, but you were out and about, weren't you? You were out with Shah.
Yeah.
Type 40 live
Great
people
place
on
to
tour.
take your date.
Ian Kubiak, this is what we're doing now, mate. We're sending them out on tour together here. And so, what were you doing there, Ian? Where were you, and what was going on?
Oh, I got bullied. I got bullied into meeting up with her. No, I'm joking, obviously. Yeah, no, she just wanted to meet up. We met up. We went to the Shard and looked down at London and stuff. So she had never been in there before, but it was a lot of fun. She's funny. She makes me laugh. So there you go.
So you both video called me from the top of the show.
Oh yeah, we did. We had to. Definitely had
couldn't
to.
understand a word you were saying, but you know, it was a nice thought.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
I did wonder. So yeah, wherever you are, Shah, I hope you're having fun. I hope you get home safely. Okay, and what else? Yes. So speaking about dynamic duos, I want to talk for a little moment about these two characters. This is Richard Franklin and Katie Manning. There, he's sweeping her off her feet.
She's holding on to him, even though she's unconscious. Yeah, doesn't it? That makes sense, don't it? Yeah.
You're not supposed to look at these things. This is the magic of television, isn't it? Isn't it, Ian? Don't listen to him.
No, it's a magical photo of two lovely people.
It is. And I suppose you know that Richard Franklin, he hasn't had the best of years. He spent a little while in hospital. I was delighted to see recently that he's getting a bit of TLC. So he's been and had his haircut. I think he had a birthday recently. He's been out and had his haircut and put out a greeting on Twitter just to let us know that he's okay and that he's thinking of us like we're thinking of him. And because this is very much, Ian, you know this probably better than most because you book a lot of these guys and girls for your events. It is like one big family, isn't it? Particularly the classic cast.
Definitely, it is. I think it's fair to say, and it's no exaggeration, that they all look out for each other and that they all care for each other.
It's lovely. It really is.
Common, aren't they? Got Doctor Who in common, aren't they? So
yeah.
But
I was going to say, I reckon there is a Classic Companions WhatsApp group, and I really think there is a Classic Doctors WhatsApp group.
You know, when you look at them when they were young and stuff like that, and then you see them when they're old, they should be proud of what they've done. They should be proud that they were a part of Doctor Who, and I guess they are, aren't they? They definitely are. And even though this actor didn't make the big time, like, you know, ended up in Hollywood or big movies, he'll always be remembered for Doctor Who. You know,
he was in Rogue One, a Star Wars story.
Yeah, I know, but come on.
Oh, really?
He wasn't the star, was he? You know,
but I think
I saw him in a documentary once because his aunt is quite famous. She actually avoided getting murdered by the famous British acid bath killer. So I saw him in a documentary once about that. So I was like, oh wow, it's Richard.
I think it's fair to say that Richard is of a generation where people became actors because they wanted to act, not because they wanted to be famous. And he made a career of it. He did lots and lots of theatre. I mean, about more than 5 years ago, in the last 10 years, I know for a fact that he understudied. Okay, he was understudying for over a year in the West End in what's the two-hander play where it's a ghost in it? Oh gosh, it will come back.
I know the one you mean, but I can't think of the title. Let's know in the live chat. Obviously, this is the beauty of having the punters out there. Somebody watching or listening along here will know what
pot.
The woman in black. That's it. The woman in black.
Of course, there we are. Mystery solved. Simon Ashley says, Dan, you need a hangover cure. Do I? I might do later on.
Simon, do you know something we don't?
Got a question from Kelly asking, Matt, are you on the East Coast or the West Coast?
I'm on the South Coast. I'm right down below Australia, so I'm right down the bottom. If the world had a bum.
You're right nestled into the crevice. Retro.Gary Akers says Type 40 Live, aka lunchtime with the Mega Geek, and Sadako24 suggests you eat like an androgen meal.
Yeah, I do. Sorry, I must apologise for that. But hey,
I mean, everything you just said about the Doctor Who family, I think it has to be true. And this week, Katie Manning put this up on her social media because she went to visit Richard, And she said, lovely cuddles and giggles today when visiting my darling friend, the wonderful, handsome Captain Yates. He sends his love out to you all and thanks you all for your continuous friendship. And ooh, golly gosh, we really enjoyed the cake that I took him. So you say it's exactly it. It's that there's the Doctor Who family.
How old is
beautiful pictures.
Katie? How old is Kate?
Mid 70s, 75, I think she is, something like that. Yeah, yeah.
That's cool.
And
That's cool.
still,
She was only about she was only in like 20 when she was with John
Yeah,
Pertwee.
John
yeah,
Pertwee.
23, 24 when she was in Doctor Who, and then she's still running around on. I saw some footage of her from, excuse me, from a convention
I've
the
seen
other
some
day,
footage of her too.
and she was running like the length and breadth of a convention hall, playing with these kids. These like 8 or 9 year old kids, full of energy. And she
It was at the
lovely.
it was at the BFI, Dan.
Was it? Oh, was it the BFI? It was the same.
Yeah.
Oh, it was the same event. I see. Yeah. So she gets about.
I just like to say to the fans out there that I discovered, and I actually sent the picture to Dan, that classic Doctor Who's on ITVX, all of them, every episode of classic Doctor Who's on ITVX. So if you're looking to watch and you've got Sky, it should come in the package with ITVX.
With a warning?
No warnings. If you want to watch classic Doctor Who, it's on ITVX. So, fill your boots, in other words. So sorry, carry on with the show. Sorry.
No, well, full of people have asked about this because Doctor Who seems to have disappeared.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed this, Charlotte, but apparently Doctor Who has disappeared from other places, sort of BritBox and places like that.
I was going to say, I
People are a bit
knew
confused.
BritBox had lost it, but for me, that's intriguing that it's gone to ITVX. Because does that, obviously I'm just speculating here, I don't know any better, but does that mean possibly that classic Who might stay in the UK when it comes to where it's getting shown? And maybe the new Who's going to go to international America, Disney Plus, we don't know, but I do find it interesting that it's got a new home again.
Yeah.
I think it's doubtful that it will stay on ITVX. I think that's probably a short-term deal whilst they put together, because the iPlayer is evolving all the time. And Russell T Davies is a big believer in having all of Doctor Who in one place.
Who does the BBC still own the rights then?
Oh yes,
The old classic.
Yeah.
Yes. So
I think
you're right. You're probably
they
right.
were. You see, I don't know if you're aware of this, but what happened was the BBC sold their share of BritBox to ITV.
Oh.
So the impression that I get is that BritBox is going to disappear in Britain. I don't think it ever really took hold in this country the way it did overseas, because I suppose there's less of a novelty to having, this is all British TV content. Well, you think, well, I've got 6 or 7 channels full of British TV content anyway. So it hasn't got that USP, I suppose.
I feel sorry for the people who actually bought into BritBox now.
So do I.
Yeah.
I got it free with my phone.
We have a thing here too called Acorn, which just has a lot of British detective shows and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, they're all independent shows, aren't they? Yeah, I mean, there are people I know, for example, who sold all their DVDs to get a subscription to BritBox instead, thinking I'm going to save all this space and I'll have it all on my phone, just like you've just said, Ian. So you think, well, when they go somewhere else, I mean, the beauty of it is ITVX is free. You can get this, you can stream this completely free, and because it's not a catch-up service, it carries advertising. You don't need a TV license to watch ITVX, just like you don't need a TV license to watch what was All 4, Channel 4's service, which is just called 4 now. So that's it's just classed as streaming. So it's constantly evolving, the streaming landscape in Britain. I find it terribly confusing, but then again,
they're showing some really old stuff though. I mean, stuff that BBC hadn't got hold of, but ITVX has shown some really old movies. It's got. I mean, when I was flicking through, it's just like, oh, I ain't seen that in years. So I don't know. It might stay. Who knows? Nice
to see this stuff turn up anywhere. Peter Harrington says it should be on BBC 4, but BBC 4's in somewhat of a crisis of identity.
I was going to say that's going, isn't it? Or there's been talks of that going. Or was it another BBC? I'm thinking of.
Yeah, maybe. Sam says Doctor Who is still on my BritBox. Well, there may be a crossover period, obviously, but I would expect that's probably going to change, Sam. So I'd stay tuned for whatever's happening there. Crimpling Doubloon says $5.99 a month. And Philip King says, hi, all. At the moment, Doctor Who is still on BritBox. I've been watching it today. So, yeah, keep us informed as to what's happening, because people have been asking us that in the Type 40 Facebook group this week. Obviously, I favour the Blu-ray releases. And, Ian, do you collect those, mate? Do you pick those up, Ian Kubiak?
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah, definitely. I mean, it's fair to say that I was able to arrange signings with various people, especially during lockdown, so people could still get box sets and booklets signed. And I think we all are, people who collect them are very much waiting on the delivery. You know, who gets it a couple of days first, who's got it from Zavi, who's got it from Amazon, who's got it from HMV. You know, I think there'll be a lot of, excitement in the next 2 or 3 weeks as the new box set arrives.
Could be right. Yeah, before the end of the month, we are going to get season 9 on Blu-ray. I don't think we've got an exact date yet. Is it 22nd, something like 22nd? It tends to be at the start of the week.
About 2 weeks' time.
Yeah, it's
that's a
very,
pretty
very
awful picture of John Pertwee.
I was thinking that.
It's awful. I mean, couldn't they not have got a better picture of him? It's like basically just got up from bed or something like that, isn't it? His face is like, what the
Do you know
hell's
what I
going
think
on
it is,
there?
Ian? I think it's the eyes. They're just slightly off,
Dead.
aren't they? And
They're
we've
dead.
said this before. If the eyes don't work in these covers, it ruins the whole face, sadly.
Yeah, it just, the eyes just look dead, basically. So
They look a little. They almost look like doll eyes to me, like not quite real.
yeah.
I think some of these are better than others. Obviously, it's the work of Lee Binding, as always. Lee, all these box sets are wrapped up in Lee's artwork. Some beautiful stuff inside too. I love his work generally. Obviously, some of it hits the mark squarer than others. And I think if you look a little closely, you'll see all sorts of things. And people did look at this a little closely, and they did see that on the fingers of one hand, the Doctor actually has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fingers. And so this was recently brought to Lee's attention. And he had to hold his hand up and say that, it was a cock up, that the Doctor has 6 fingers on the one hand there. But
look at the disc. That picture would be better.
Could happen to anybody, Leah. Go on, sorry, yes, mate. Look at the disc. What?
Look at the picture on the disc. That would be a better picture for the cover than what he's got on the cover.
They're all. Well, all these covers, they all have a certain look to them. The Doctor always occupies a similar space. So I can see why he's doing it the way he's doing it.
They're working because, unfortunately, there's just probably not a lot of photo reference with his face like that. And plus, I think they try to find one of that year. So, they
couldn't find one,
they just didn't take publicity. Yeah, they just didn't take as many publicity stills as, like that sort of thing. So.
Yeah, but I mean, I'd still buy it. I'd buy that for $1.
It's the stuff inside that I care about.
Paul Murray says, don't say it's been postponed. Not that we're aware of, Paul. Yeah. I mean, these things, they do happen. As you know, we've had Richard Molesworth on the show several times, and he's explained at great length as to why they have resisted putting dates on these things. If they've put a date on it this time, then they must be really confident that it's coming out on that date, because the last 3, I don't think they've put dates on them at all. So they must be quite confident it's going to come out on that date. And it is getting, just as Ian said, it's getting very, very close. So I think
I'm holding off on them now if they're gonna edit them out before they come overseas. Yeah. So I'm holding out on that now.
The last one was edited, wasn't it? It was strange, strange business. But that does, yeah. Happen. So they've had another screening. Excuse me. I thought my cold had gone. Excuse me. They've had another screening this week over at the BFI. As you said, Ian, that was clearly where Katie was doing all her running around. And she wasn't just running around. They managed to actually get to stay seated in one place for a few minutes to ask her a question. So they asked her, because obviously Katie was recently in the Power of the Doctor very fleetingly in that scene, wasn't she, Ian? Did you see that when they're all sat around that community centre, all those companions? It was just like you said.
It was just a convention.
Yeah, where were you? I
was making the tea. I was making the tea.
It's you and Robert Dick. Robert Dick was opening the biscuits and you were making the tea. Is that what it was?
Yeah. No, Robert Dick was getting ready to do the interview panel.
Yes, who knows? Who knows? Yes, so they did manage to nail her down, and they asked her, because you've been back on it recently, do you think you may be back again? Because obviously there's all these rumours about more spin-offs. Well, we know that more spin-offs are coming, but the rumors are who will star in them, Charlotte. So they asked Katie about this, and she said there will be spin-offs. So clearly Katie is in the know. There will be spin-offs. There will be people returning. I do know that. That's very definite. Naughty Katie.
Yeah, she's been told something, hasn't she?
Quite clearly, bless her. I think Granny Joe is a glorious character now. This woman with all these children championing the world. That's what she says, and goes on to say, I think it'd be lovely if she just occasionally comes in for a very good reason. They'll bring lots of people back, but I hope that great Granny Joe gets just a little kind of nod here and there. A little kind of nod. A little kind of nod, Charlotte. What do you think? She deserves more than that, doesn't she? But obviously, Katie Manning, she's got so much charisma. There's only so much of even that you can put into one show.
Yeah, but I think as well she's commenting on the good thing about cameos, which is if you overdo them, you sort of ruin the effect. So she's right that it occasionally is a good way to do it. And I think with Russell, he was always very good. If he couldn't have the actress or actor there, he would just reference them in dialogue. Like a character who we know has got a link would go, oh, is doing this. So I think if it's a mixture of those two ways, I think it will work.
I don't think they should have people from the past come into this new Doctor Who. I think it's just concentrate on the new Doctor Who, make sure he's established properly and the fans like him, and then start thinking about it. If they're going to bring someone back, let's just bring back Paul McGann, and give him.
Do you think, Ian, that people are a little preoccupied with this sort of thing then, considering that there's much more fundamental work to do at this point?
Yeah, I think with the Shooty Doctor, they've got to establish him quickly as the Doctor and make sure that people like him. Test the waters first before they start bringing anyone back. Do you know what I mean? The only reason why I'll bring back is maybe to help the new Doctor move forward. But if he's as good as Russell T says he is, then he
won't need it.
He won't need it. Do you know what I mean? So, fingers crossed that it is good. So,
Paul Murray says that it's a shame Joe wasn't involved in the TV stuff sooner.
She was in the.
I was going to say Sarah Jane. She was one of the early ones who sort of came back and got a proper continuation of her story.
Yep, she did. Yep.
Beautifully done. We've got usually. If these sets are delayed, says Gary Akers, a week or two, it's announced earlier than 10 days out. Yeah, I'd say that's true.
Yeah.
And apparently the quality of the restored Sea Devils is amazing. So they screened that at the BFI, a 6-part story. I don't think I could sit there for 6 episodes, but do they get intervals? Does anybody know?
I was there.
You were? What was it like, Ian?
A very, very long day.
How many episodes did they show?
All 6.
Wow.
All 6. So it was 2 episodes. Then there was a brief break. Then another 2 episodes, and then another 2 episodes. You had Katie Manning giving a little talk, an interview. There was also a gentleman who's in the first episode of the Sea Devils. He was there giving a talk. Who he apparently auditioned for the part of the 7th Doctor, but didn't get it.
Hugh Futcher, his name, isn't it?
Yeah,
Hugh Futcher, something like that.
Right, yeah. And they also showed sort of excerpts of the new behind the scenes commentaries and various other extras. And
was there a lot of people in the theatre?
It sells out. It sells out.
Was it packed? It was packed.
Yeah, definitely.
Very nice. And Katie was there speaking. Who else was on stage then, Ian?
There was also the 2. So when the new Blu-rays are like when they announce they're coming out, they do those amazing trailers, which I really, really look forward to seeing personally.
Yeah, me too.
The 2 girls who are appearing with Katie Manning, where there's the baby Sea Devil at the end, they were there as well, and it was nice for them to give a little chat about their time, their day or two filming new sort of classic Who. Really,
Very nice. Yeah, we had a bit of an inside bit of info on that when Neil Cole was on the show a few weeks ago, because although Neil wasn't present at the filming of that, it did turn out that he knew some of the people who'd made the creatures, and he knew the guy who was inside the Sea Devil for that. So
he was there. He was there as well.
Was Neil there as well?
Yeah, the guy who played the Sea Devil in that.
Oh,
he was in
I see. Oh, good stuff. Oh, it was a real reunion then. Very, very nice. Well, that brings me nicely to you and what you're up to at the moment, Ian. So for people out there who don't know, you're from Cygnus Alpha events, aren't you? A Cygnus Alpha is a name attached to another British BBC sci-fi show, isn't it? But you don't just cover Blake 7, do you? You put together. Well, you tell the punters what it is that you do.
I started off doing Blake 7 events about 5, 6, 7 years ago. I can't remember now how long it's been, but I've always been a Doctor Who fan, and I volunteered with other people doing Doctor Who events, but then I subsequently decided to go off on my own, and so Cygnus Alpha events now do Doctor Who events. And so during lockdown, we did lots of events on Zoom, even though other people across the world were doing it. But I did it in a way where you paid for your ticket. You had a whole day worth of Zoom chats. It was live, like what we're doing now, but we would have various people, actors, writers, directors, giving chats, and you could also get autographs. So it was all lots of visits to the post office. And I was the only person to get Tom Baker to do a Zoom chat. And we did that on the 40th anniversary of Logopolis episode 4. So it was literally to the day 40 years after he stopped being the Doctor. And that was a magical hour and a bit. But then, now we're out of lockdown. So last year, I hired for the day Wood Norton Hall, which is in Evesham, which was the location for, and there we go, Spearhead from Space and Robot. And we did a one-day event there, and I managed to persuade Sylvester McCoy and Sophie Aldred to do a photo shoot in their original costumes from the 1980s, not the McCoy version of the costume that was used in Power of the Doctor, but this was the version used in 1989. And for me, as a big McCoy fan, seeing him in his costume was brilliant. So
I saw some pictures that you put up around that time, because you had, if I remember correctly, you were there with Sylvester, and you were also in your Seventh Doctor outfit, and the look on your face, was like total. And I know that you know Sylvester already, so you're under no illusions that it's not he's the Sylvester, he's not the Doctor. But I could see the look on your face. You were like a kid in a sweet shop there. It was like it was a dream come true for you.
In fact, somebody in the live chat was there, Lee Wood. If you can see his thing.
Where are you, Lee? Where are you? Let's have a look. Where are you, Lee? I'll find you. What's his
Spearhead
saying?
live at Wood Norton was excellent.
There we are.
There we go.
A privilege to be there that day as well. Wow, that's heavy praise indeed. So, and this location too. I mean, I can only think really, as regards Doctor Who, the history of Doctor Who, of perhaps Longleat Park being the only place sort of more prestigious than this, being a key part of two, I would argue, seminal stories in Spearhead and Robot. It must have felt amazing being there and bringing it all to life.
It was. I think for me, the most amazing part on the day was having everybody wanted to know, was the shower still there? And the shower is still there from Spearhead from Space, where you got the third Doctor taking a shower. And everybody was getting pictures in there. And let's just say a certain Mr. McCoy may have got some photos done in the shower. Tim Trelaw got photos done in the shower. But we're back there on the 7th of May. And we've got a really good guest lineup. Katie Manning, because we've been talking about Katie. Well, thank you for showing that, because that reminds me who's coming. Katie is going to be doing an interview. She's going to be conducting an interview where she's going to be interviewing Tim, Sadie, Daisy, and John Coleshaw. So her sort of big Finnish friends. And it was her idea to do it, because she's been interviewed lots of times, but not a lot of people may know this, but she had her own talk show for many years.
Really?
In Australia. Yeah. So she's very, very versed to interviewing, and she's very, very much looking forward to it. And the other sort of thing that I'm really excited about is that we now see Peter Davison doing in-costume photo shoots. We see Sylvester McCoy doing in-costume photo shoots. But I have persuaded Mr. Colin Baker to dress in a Sixth Doctor costume for the photo shoot, and this will be the only time he'll be doing it because he doesn't like to do it. He said, but it will be a combination of original screen worn items as well as a new jacket, which is screen accurate, which he's had made. So that's Spearhead Live on the 7th of May, and tickets are £80, but for that you get one autograph from each guest, with the exception of Colin, who's a bonus guest. You also get access to the interview panels, which all last about 45-50 minutes each. You also get your lunch. A lot of people don't.
Ian's ears just pricked up like that. Go on, he's listening. Go on, carry on, Ian.
Yeah, I think if we, the lunch was, it sort of, how can I say this? The lunch was definitely one of the highlights last year. Lots of people were shocked by it. I mean, Lee Woods just put, and what a lunch it was. It really was.
Serve?
Oh, we need more information than that, Lee. So let us know in the live chat, please.
Pictures would be helpful.
Well, you'll have to come along and find out.
Okay.
If we go, it's all like you just go to Greg's. He's not going to be
That's
happy.
right, yeah. If it's just a sausage roll and a cup of tea, I'll be very disappointed.
Well, you get tea or coffee on arrival as well. There's that as well.
Excellent.
So, but yeah, it's going to be a really good one-day event. It's limited to 100 people. Tickets are almost selling out. So I would say to people, if you want to come along. It's the day after the coronation. You've got the bank holiday to recover afterwards, and it's in just such a lovely venue which hasn't changed. All the wooden paneling that you see in Spearhead from Space is still there. And there's a few other things which I'm not going to be talking about just yet, but will be revealed on the day.
And I understand later on you've got something you're exclusively going to tell us about
here
on this show. So stay tuned for more here on this channel, and we'll come back to Ian's events later on. He has lots more to tell us about. I've no doubt. I'm just amazed you managed to get Katie Manning to sit still in one place for long enough to sit and talk to all those other people.
Oh yeah, she's a professional. She knows what she's doing. Definitely.
Yes, stay exactly where you are. Stay exactly where you are.
Oh.
Okay, people. Yeah, it's fantastic, isn't it? Yes, he's very warm with that on his head as well. Okay, yes. So keep the comments coming in the live chat, and we will make sure that all the links to everything that Ian's talking about on this edition of the show, they'll all be in the description of the video and the show notes to the podcast too, so you can book yourselves up for Spearhead there. Let's see what have people got to say here. Yes, it was. Lee Wood says it was what I would imagine those big Finnish lunches we hear about are like.
Oh,
so
yes.
Just imagine in your head a king's buffet, a queen's buffet, whatever you want to call it.
Absolutely, it was a buffet to end all buffets.
Yes. So again, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the cloister bell to get all the notifications about what we're doing next and when we're doing it. There's a lot going on next week. I'm really relieved about this as a content maker, Charlotte, because for a few months now we've had one single image really of the 14th Doctor, there, David Tennant, looking great. I mean, I do love this new suit, and it's beautifully done. I think all the stuff that's coming out of Bad Wolf just looks next level here. But like I say, it is just the one image. But he is so next week. Yeah, we've got Comic Relief's annual Red Nose Day event. That's coming next week, and as part of that, there've been all these new pictures that have been released. Tennant was announced as one of the hosts of this quite a time ago. They tend to get
he's
a
done
mix
a
of these
few
up, don't
at
they?
this point.
Zoe Ball and Dermot O'Leary, all these people, they drag them on, don't they?
Yeah, like Tennant's done it. God, I think ever since Doctor Who, he sort of became a host not quite soon afterwards. Because they take stints, don't they? They do it for like an hour each. So he's had quite a few sort of hours just having a bit of a stint.
You can tell how long they've been on because they get the sweat rings under their arms.
Yes.
Of all the lighting, all the running around. We've got these fabulous new images. I don't know if you've seen these, Matt, of David Tennant, the 14th Doctor. I think he's in character. And here he is holding the old red nose. Do you get Red Nose Day in Australia?
No. No, we do have Red Nose Day, but we don't have anything like a celebratory
he's looking his age there, isn't he?
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing actually.
He's aging very, very well. I mean, it's very encouraging when you look at David Tennant with his incredible hair, and just when you see a close up, you see there is a little bit of grey coming in, so you don't feel quite so bad if you're going a bit salt and pepper like I am.
His face looks kind of.
Well, he must be tired from all the work that he's doing.
Yeah, I guess.
I think it's because it's quite a zoomed in shot as well. It's like every bit of salt and pepper and age is showing a bit, but I still think he looks good.
And what's with the Indiana Jones growth thing? Is that a new?
You know what? I think it is particular to the 14th Doctor because to the best of my knowledge that I remember, the 10th Doctor didn't have a stubble, did he?
Oh no, he had obviously the sideburns, which are bad, but no, he didn't have any sort of stubble at all. So yeah, I think that's what they're doing with this whole costume and with the look of Tennant. That they're obviously enough that you recognise there, but they are trying to subtly say this is a different Doctor.
Yeah.
Very, very, very subtle.
And he's not going to wear the costume at the event, is he?
This is the question,
thing, isn't it?
This is the question, Matt, because before they announced that Tennant himself was going to be doing hosting duties, but now we've got these official pictures of him in costume, and it looks to me like these have been taken pretty recently because, as I say, David Tennant, when he was recording those episodes in May down in Bristol, I think was where they were filming in the streets with Neil Patrick Harris. His hair was a lot darker than that. He hasn't dyed it this time. He's just styled it the same. So I think these pictures have probably been taken in the last few weeks. But here he is with Selene Henry, who's obviously he's a mainstay of comic relief there. But people are understandably considering that the way that these charities are and the way that Doctor Who has had this relationship, not just with children in need, but comic relief too, that perhaps something may be coming. You know, Charlotte, we may get a teaser trailer, a proper trailer. We had that big minute-long trailer at Christmas, but there may be another trailer because it can't be too far off now. But maybe, just maybe, we could get a minisode because Russell was a believer. Russell championed all that all those years ago, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, and that's why when I saw these pictures come up, I had such a massive smile on my face because it got me back thinking about children in need sketches they would do, or the other sketches that the Doctor would either be a part of, or just the one he even did when he wasn't the Doctor. He was just with Catherine Tate, the Lauren sketch.
Lauren, yeah.
And that was just brilliant. So it got all those memories going. And another thing is, I'm just so happy to see Doctor Who back to being a part of the BBC, because in the last 5 years, it was not included in any of these celebratory things. It just wasn't. And it felt like the absence, I felt it. I know other people did as well.
It felt detached from that coziness. I mean, the BBC isn't as cozy as it was. I think since they sold off Television Centre, it's had an effect. It's sort of drained away that cozy auntie feeling, hasn't it, Charlotte?
Yeah, but I think Doctor Who just felt like it was always part of that family fun aspect of those nights. And there was
three, wasn't there? There were three good ones, in my opinion. One with Matt Smith, where he got multiplied, where he went through the TARDIS and the TARDIS was in the TARDIS. Thought that was quite fun. I like the Titanic one because that actually connects to the actual episode itself. When he teams up with Peter Davison, I thought absolutely brilliant. I love that one. And I can't remember what the third one was, but I hate it when they do things that are not connected and it's just it becomes too much of a joke.
And also, it's like, what a clever way to start your promotion properly.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, that's why they do it.
Like Dan said, we've had a teaser. And another thing that I think people need to realise now is Russell's previous show, the last thing he made, Nolly, that's out now. It's been out. It's been promoted. So all he's got now to do is Doctor Who. So I think this is what I've got a feeling this might be the start of us actually seeing 60th anniversary promotion. And he's picked a big night. He knows people are going to be watching. He knows even if people don't watch on the night, they'll go on YouTube the day afterwards just to find the Doctor Who bits.
Just to find. I mean, I don't watch these events anymore. I keep asking myself, why are they asking poor people to actually help poor people? Why aren't they asking the rich people to help? Do you know what I mean? It makes no sense to me. That's why I don't watch it anymore. I'm like, no,
I think there was a boom. I mean, I won't go too much down this rabbit hole, but I think there was a bit of a boon for telethons. Obviously, the more people, the more disposable income people have got, the wealthier we are as a country, the more people have got to donate to causes. I think the charities, just like religion, the charities that one donates to, it's often a very personal thing, and I think I sort of prefer the time when people didn't talk about these things quite so much. But there we are. So that's
They used to have one, didn't they?
I think these pictures, they did for a little time. So I think these pictures, I think Charlotte's right, Ian. I think that they're very, very cozy. So obviously you haven't been on the show for a while since the new era sort of dawned. How do you feel about seeing David Tennant back in these pictures? Do you see what Charlotte means? And what do you think the odds are of us getting some actual new material a week on Friday when Red Nose Day happens?
I don't know. Are you talking to me or the other Ian?
The other Ian.
You need a different name for them.
Okay. Just call me Cygnus Alpha. There we go.
I thought you'd pick it up when I said because you haven't been on the show for a while. You were here last week, love.
I fell asleep. I'm sorry. I think there's definitely a big sort of publicity. It's on its way, isn't it? We know what's coming. It's great that there's lots of rumors. It keeps the show alive. I'm sure there will be something with him, but do you know what? I think we just all need to be patient and wait and look forward to when it comes. And I think David looks great. I think it's. I don't want to go back to plugging my events, but to see the Doctors in costume, it's a magical moment, and it doesn't matter if they don't look exactly the same. I think Davison and McCoy looked brilliant in their costumes in Power of the Doctor, and as will Colin Baker on the 6th of May. But there we go.
Pertwee looks sensational. Pertwee looks sensational in the Five Doctors.
Pertwee would always wear his costume at every event he would go to because he said they want the fans are here to see the Doctor, not me, and he would always be in costume.
Yeah, and I love the one picture where he's imitating looking at his hands from obviously the end of Power of the Doctor. So that's what
are they going to pick it up? Are they going to pick up? Well, exactly. It's a very knowing, almost meta, no pun intended, way of looking at the character. Raymond Williams says, I'm 6 years older than David Tennant, and he's looking a lot better than me, certainly on the hair front.
It's CGI.
It's a character choice, I think, says Carol Jude, who's David Tennant. He's your guy, isn't he? Yeah. Wherever Tennant turns up, you won't find Carol too far behind. Ollie Perry says, the two doctors. Yes, now I think I know what you're talking about, because this is the thing, you see. We've got this picture here of Lenny Henry with David Tennant there. Yeah. And David Tennant it looks to me like he's in character there as the 14th Doctor. The way I see it, if we are going to get new material, I think there's only one place they should go, and they can go. It would be a crime in the age of the multiverse not to bring the 14th Doctor together with the Lenny Henry Doctor from 1985 on screen. I want to see Lenny Henry back in character, playing this role again.
Why is he dressed like Rupert the Bear?
I don't know.
It was a homage to Colin Baker's.
I think it was meant to be cut. Yeah, it's a mixture of Colin.
No, I just had a thought.
Rupert the Bear.
Do you know what they could do? They could do a modern version of Fatal Death. That was comic relief, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
I'm just thinking more for the direct link, and wouldn't that be fun if we just had random actors now just being doctors and Tennant being the actual real Doctor? That could be the whole story.
I think it could be a laugh. I've come round to JT's way of thinking, in that I think I'm a little bit tired with multiverses, and I think I'd rather just have the Doctor going on adventures and keep it fairly in a straight line, particularly for children watching. But I think you could have a lot of fun with something like that in such as this. And this sketch, this Lenny Henry sketch, is a little bit of a classic, and so I think they'll be missing a real trick if they don't give us something along those lines. And I'd like to see him back in the leather jacket there. And what was it? He's got it's like a handlebar moustache he's got, isn't it? And some sideburns almost as good as Tennant's. And there's Lee Corns as well, playing the kind of the beatnik character there. Fantastic stuff. Lots of memories from my childhood. So yeah, let us know what you think in the live chat. Let's go and see what people have got to say about all of this. See if it's stimulating much interest with people. Lenny looks like Shaft. Yeah, I think that was part of the idea, Mark. And Mark Milford's just suggested that. I think there was direct inspiration there from Richard Roundtree, because obviously as the iconic Shaft from the early 1970s films. Wasn't his assistant in that called Perry? She was. Peter Harrington. She was indeed. She was played by Carmen Mendoca, I think her name was. She's married to Clive Mantle, who was Little John in Robin of Sherwood. There you go. So that's the same actress who's in that. And yes, Crimpling, that is Lee Corns from Kinder. On the left, Lee Corns has been everything. Time Crash. Yeah, Paul Murray says exactly that. Time Crash 2 with Lenny. Who knows? Lenny Henry, exactly. So this has caught people's imagination. Yeah. Mega the Extremist says, all the speculation just gets a little bit boring after a while. New episodes are 8 months away. There's nothing to discuss. Let's focus on the 6 decades of who we do have. As you're not new to the Doctor Who community, Mega, by any stretch. So speculation is one of the things that we do best, I think it's fair to say. This is what Lively weekly magazine live stream is for. John Pertwee looks sensational in costume on Blankety Blank, which is now on YouTube, says Crimpling de Bloom, advises Crimpling de Bloom. We'll have to try and get the link for that, won't we? So yeah, I just think it's great to see. Just like you say, Charlotte, I think in particular the one that got me, the one that hit me in the sort of the feels, was this one, the one with the 14th Doctor just on the sofa like that. It has that coziness that you're quite right, that Doctor Who has been lacking recently. Donations to Comic Relief can be made by visiting the website specifically on the night at bbc.co.uk/Red Nose Day, or calling the number 03457 910 910, and all the information to that is also in the description to the video and the show notes of the podcast too, and all the various ways that people can donate money there if that's a charity that you wish to support. So yeah, fantastic pictures, and I'm just pleased to see more of them. While I'm at it, I want to say thank you to everybody for all the interaction we had on the Three Doctors show, our event show last week. That was so much fun to spend 2.5 hours back in 1972 there, talking about what is not just a seminal Doctor Who story, but 4 episodes of pure joy. I know that you enjoyed it as much as we did. If you want to go back, obviously there's the video. It's there for you to watch, rewatch, and rewatch the rewatch over and over again, as well as our 5 Doctors show from late last year. It's all there too. And of course, there'll be more. There'll be a lot more to come as the anniversary year continues here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. We've got lots planned. Lots about those 6 decades of Doctor Who. Don't worry, Mega, and anybody else. We are going to keep bringing the classic stuff, new Doctor Who, a good seam of programming here, of content and conversations that are going to tap in right across the decades of Doctor Who, as well as looking forward to what's coming next. Of course, we do it all simply for the love of Doctor Who. That's what brought us together in the first place to make this show, and keeps us putting the podcasts out and the live streams and everything else. Same as the fan artists. That's what keeps them doing what they're doing. And we've come across this piece of artwork just this week, which I think encapsulates where we are, where we're heading to there. So we've got the 1st Doctor and the 15th Doctor there. This is by Hayden the Hermit. Sounds like a pop star from the 1960s there, Matt, doesn't it? Hayden the Hermit.
Yes, yes. Hayden and the Hermits. Mm.
Yeah, there's a nice bit of digital art there. So that's William Hartnell. He's put William Hartnell into the gown that David Bradley was wearing in The Power of the Doctor there. So a nice bit of Photoshop. And Shooty Gatwa there in one of his 2 outfits, in the plaid outfit. Are you looking forward to Shooty as well there, Ian Kubiak? How do you feel about this? If they pick the right guy, what's your instinct?
I think, yeah, absolutely. I think the thing is, it's like Tom Baker says, nobody ever fails at it. It's actor proof.
Well, bloody hell, he was wrong about the other Doctor.
No, I was just going to say, let's not go there. But yeah,
moving on. Carry on, Ian. Carry on.
I think for every person who's played the Doctor, including Richard Herndl,
you're talking.
They are the Doctor for someone. I think Ncuti Gatwa is going to definitely make his mark. He's already made his mark. People are really, really excited about it. The costumes are great. I mean, that costume is absolutely gorgeous, what he's wearing. There's also been other versions tweeted, if you follow spoilers of filming on Twitter, where he does look like Shaft, actually. So I think we're in for an exciting time with Ncuti Gatwa. And he's been welcomed. He's been welcomed by the other Doctors. There was that lovely interaction with where Sylvester was sending him a video, and then Ncuti sent him one back. And not sort of like to go, oh, I did this and I did that, but I told Tom Baker who the new Doctor was. I was with Tom Baker on the day when Ncuti Gatwa was announced, and I got to show him a picture. He said, "Wow, that's going to be amazing."
There you go. Got a nod from Tom. I wonder if Tom's seen Sex Education. I never have. I've never seen anything that Ncuti's done, but I'm up for it. I'm up for it anyway. As a panel, Ian, we were quite divided, believe it or not. So some of us are more excited than others. But I think that generally speaking, we're all very happy that the page has been turned and that a new future for the show awaits with Bad Wolf Studios, the BBC, and Disney Plus. And yeah, obviously there's still a few months away until we get the anniversary stuff. And Ncuti's probably about a year away, I think. That's the rumor, but it's still very exciting. I think they're gonna drop little things for us between now and November. I know there's going to be more coming. That not just those 3 specials. There'll be more programming coming from the BBC, from what I'm hearing. So we're gonna have to make sure
I think it could be summed up with saying it's reassuring to know that the show's future is in safe hands.
Ooh,
we'll see.
We've got a comment. We've got a comment here from Facebook user who clearly wasn't here earlier on, because not only did Facebook user miss the bit where we did talk about the season 9 Blu-ray, but they also forgot to click the little blue link to let StreamYard know who they were. So they're just coming up as Facebook users. We don't know your name, and so we can't get all cozy with you here. So please, hit the link, and we can talk to you properly. But go back and watch the video later, and you'll see our little chat there about season 9. Now, as well as your events that are coming up, I noticed the calendar is filling up with Doctor Who events. It's getting very exciting as the year stretches out. And this one really got my attention because it takes place at another one of Doctor Who's spiritual homes, I suppose you could say. So up in Blackpool, at a venue called Aviva in Blackpool, we've got this event coming up in late April. Doctor Who Invasion, celebrating 60 years of Doctor Who back in Blackpool, which was the home of the Doctor Who exhibition for, was it 13, 14 years? They've got Colin there too, along with Fraser Hines, so two big classic names. We all adore them, as well as friends of the show of Type 40. We've got Neil Cole, who was here a few weeks ago on the Inside Track Show. He's going to be there. So are Alex Storer and John Collio. They've been on the show several times. There's who else is there? I think that Keith Barnfather. I was coming to that. Keith Barnfather. He's going to be there. Keith's been on the show several times now as well. And yes, you're quite right, Ian. Sat there in the dead middle, it's JJ and the Hooligans from Avenue Who. So information is trickling out about this event. I think that they're announcing who's going to be there bit by bit by bit, and there's cosplay competitions and all sorts. But this is very exciting, the idea that Doctor Who is heading back to Blackpool for this event, and obviously wish them every success and hope to hear more about this sometime soon. So let us know which of these events, Ian's events or this event, let us know where you're going to be. And you may bump into the Hooligans, you may bump into JJ, and if JJ's there, you're going to bump into these as well.
Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Click the buttons. Click the buttons. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe.
Thanks, guys. Are they even scarier than your Dalek, Ian?
No.
I was terrified. I had to look away.
No.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful stuff. So yeah, there's that going on in Blackpool. Let us know what you make of that. What else have we got coming up? Okay, we've got lots more comments here. People who disagree with you on that one, said John Yulden. We've got people recommending episodes of Blankety Blank as well. I love Blankety Blank. The dirtier it got, the funnier I thought it was, come to think of it. Kelly's here again. Oh, yeah, the comment about Doctor Who being actor-proof. Oh, it's not played well. A Zombie Box Review says, evening, guys. Zombie, good to see you, mate. We have to get Zombie on the show, won't we? I agree. Each of the doctors is someone's doctor, but I think some are more popular than others, says Tony. Well, of course, that goes without saying, doesn't it?
Some of them have got brains more than others.
All people, all men and women are equal, but obviously some doctors are more equal than others. TARDIS,
what are you talking about, Dan?
TARDIS Spider says, well, it's in the eye of the sincerely, I mean, it is in the eye of the beholder, isn't it? I mean, you know there's some doctors that I like more than
if you've
others.
hit your head yet.
You know they are. Avenue Who, brilliant, says Richard Brooks. Was it? I love the click the button Daleks, says Wendology. I think, yeah, they're very vocal, but we only bring them out now and again there. So yes, talking about bringing things out now and again. Simon isn't here this week. You've probably gathered he's not here, but he's out flitting about in time and space doing whatever. But time and space, particularly time, waits for no man. And the Doctor Who diary seems to have a mind of its own because it reached out and made contact with what passes for my mind, Charlotte. Just yesterday, while I was sat on it doesn't matter where I was, and it said, you've got to have me on the show, insisting to be on. And who are we to argue with the gold pages, leather bound tome of delights that is the Doctor Who diary. Yes, we're back with more shameless nostalgia here, courtesy of the Doctor Who diary. And I've consulted, Simon's notes. He always scribbles in the margin of this thing. Yeah. So, yes, well, here we are. Bit of nostalgia here. You're gonna like this one, Ian, the Doctor Who diary. So, we're going to go back, first of all, back 38 years, believe it or not. I don't know when this was shown in Tasmania, Matt, but 38 years ago, we were watching on this very day Time Lash Part 1, that perennial classic that absolutely everybody loves. Time Lash Part 1. Now, so obviously this
I didn't see that till the 90s, so I was lucky.
This starred Colin Baker in the lead role in that glorious coat. I mean, how Ian's managed to persuade him to get back in that outfit, I'd imagine there'd be a few pints were probably sunk that night. But yeah, he's back. They're back in his glory days. And Paul Darrow, this was Paul Darrow's return to the show. He'd been in a couple of episodes in 1970, I think, but here he was back, and it was the performance of his life. Sorry, Blake Seven fans. It was the performance of his life as Malin Tekka there on Time Lash. It's a notoriously arch performance that people still laugh about to this day. Time Lash, it's fair to say that when they do polls of the stories where they sit, you've probably seen this in Kubiak, this always figures somewhere near the bottom, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Yes. Earlier this year, I was asked to interview the writer of Time Lash for one of Keith Barnfather's Mythmakers range.
Oh, Glenn McCoy.
Glenn McCoy, yeah, which I think is out now. I think Time Lash as a story, as an idea, as a concept, works extremely, extremely well. But it's studio based. It's a little bit cheap looking, and there's no special effects. And I think everyone else, the main cast, were knackered because they were rehearsing the pantomime at the same time.
Cheap looking.
I was going to say that's
the execution. Pennant Roberts directed this, didn't he?
Yeah, it was his last two that he did. Yeah.
Yes, I suppose. I mean, yeah, I wouldn't say the show was under budgeted at this point, but J&T spent a lot on most of the other stories, and this does look like a bit of a throwback to past times, doesn't it? To maybe the late Graham Williams era when you sit back and watch it now.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I rewatched it before I did the interview, and it has some really good bits. It does.
I've always had a soft spot for it. I can't deny, not least of all because of the amazing scene here where where they get out these sort of seatbelts and strap themselves in, Charlotte, and hang on for dear life as the TARDIS throttles around, because it has this encounter. You say that, Ian, but it has this desperate encounter. It gets snared in the time lash itself. They get thrown around all over the place, so they have to strap themselves in
bungee jumping
with these turquoise. I can't keep it up. I know it's awful, but it's all a bit of fun. Matt, what do you think of this? Bit of a giggle?
It's utterly pointless, and it's like they've never used those again, have they?
Do you know what? I watch a lot of classic, right? And there's some I can't go back to in this episode. I can't watch this again. I really can't. Just nonsense.
Kind of looks like they're going hula hooping.
The Darren Zone says here, Time Lash has a most appropriate anagram. I haven't got the time to sit and work that out, but the penny will probably drop at some point later on. Crimpling Doubloon says that the best scene was the extra one Eric Saywood wrote, because part 2 was underrunning. But I do love the whole story. There we go.
How is everybody going to protect them from the TARDIS shaking? That is just so stupid.
It's not. It's like, this is the same episode that they go, let's get a bit of tinfoil and let's call it Time Lash.
I know, it's just stupid. You knew the BBC didn't care about Doctor Who at all. They really
even the
didn't.
John Pertwee picture at the end doesn't even look like John Pertwee.
Yeah.
You know, you say that, but to be fair, I mean, it was a question of how J&T was spending the money, because he just spent 3 episodes, the equivalent of 6 old episodes, out in Spain on location, making the 2 Doctors. So that looked really
awful.
slick, didn't it, Charlotte? Have you seen the
It
2
looked
Doctors?
awful.
I've seen the 2 Doctors.
What is wrong with you people? Look, I'm a huge fan of Doctor Who, but you've got to say the
Really?
truth. It looked awful, and that story was terrible. And
2
they
Doctors.
wanted a holiday.
Ian,
That's why they went out there.
Yeah,
That's why.
that's what it looked like. It
What?
honestly just looked like the producers were having a holiday.
That's
That's
what they
just
were
the vibe
having.
you get
Yeah,
from
the
watching it.
The studio stuff, I think it was directed a lot. I think it was directed and made with a lot more care and a lot more vision than Time Lash
Look like
was.
EastEnders. For God's sakes, come on. You know, it's just like they got a video camera out there. They went out there. They had a good time. The crew had a good time. They got drunk every night. Do you know what I mean? This is exactly what happened. You know,
I
it
knew.
looked awful. Come on.
I knew that you would. I knew you'd enjoy the seatbelts thing. I be honest, I chose that picture just to wind you up. Lee Wood says the interview that Ian Kubiak did with Glenn McCoy was really interesting. It made me reappraise the story, and I can appreciate it a bit more now. A bit. So there's more praise for you there, Ian. We'll have to get the link to that as well, so people can find out for themselves. It begins lame. Work out the rest, says the Darren Zone. Thanks, Darren.
Lame.
Tony L says, I applaud your enthusiasm for Time Lash, Dan. I can't remember seeing it, but I will rewatch it now.
Oh, Tony,
Go for it. Go for it.
Yeah, it's like you've got such a waste of having H.G. Wells. I mean, come on. Like, this is the story you actually use that character.
Matthew Pounder says, wasn't this the story mentioned by Shooty? I don't know. It may be. Oh, God. So you're telling me that David Tennant, as a parting gift, gave the Tomb of the Cybermen to Matt Smith, but as a parting gift to Shooty, he gave him a DVD of Time Lash?
No, I think it's Russell's fault. I think on social media he was joking, saying, "Oh, Russell's given me like a pack of stories to watch," and somebody said, "What's your favourite?" And he said, Time Lash, in a very clear, jokey sort of way. But he's watched it because it was part of his little pack.
I like it. Yeah, again, sense of humour. Doctor Who fandom. We used to have sense of humour. Looks like that could be gradually coming back as well. Back in, are you into computer games, Matt? Are you a big gamer?
Me, yes, absolutely. Yeah. I just played Hogwarts Legacy.
Oh no, you can't mention that game.
Very good. Very good.
No, we know. We don't go in for all that cancel culture nonsense on this show. Yeah, were you a gamer back in the 80s though, or was it all?
Oh, absolutely. I had a Commodore 64, mate.
I had Commodore 64 as well. They were amazing. They were amazing.
So no one had a Spectrum. Or an Atari?
No. If you had a Spectrum, that's
No,
like,
Spectrums weren't sold here.
no.
They were always awful looking when I saw them in the pages, though.
You'd be laughed at if you had a Spectrum. Yeah.
They look really
That's the
cheap.
word you could have, Yeah.
Well,
Terrible.
I got into I'm not a gamer at all. I'm always saying this to the guys, Ian. So I'm never not a gamer, never have been a gamer. But I did get in the mid '80s. I did have a Spectrum, and I did get a little bit into it. And I picked up the odd computer magazine. Some of them I bought just for the cover, including 40 years ago. 40 years ago this month, I picked up this issue of Computer and Video Games magazine.
I had that magazines. I don't have that one particularly.
Because of this painting, Matt.
Good
Oh,
painting.
that's really
It's a really
beautiful,
good
isn't
painting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Good
Now,
One of those unseen adventures. isn't it?
Insane story. Now, obviously, Tom Baker had been gone from Doctor Who. There's a beautiful painting of Tom Baker that I don't know the name
sold,
of the
though.
artist, but he'd been gone by a couple of years at this point. And here it was, a beautiful painting, looks just like him. And I love the fact that the TARDIS doors are open and it's bright white coming out, as if the mummy's already been in there. And maybe the trap that the Doctor had set for him, he's foiled it and he's trying to get away. So I don't know what any of this is about, but I bought this magazine anyway. And it turns out this was a game that you had to sort of type in yourself. A lot of the magazines had those then. And
Text Adventures, Dan, they're called.
Text Adventure.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, no, yeah.
The mummy just wanted to
We did
use
the
the
same with
toilet.
Hitchhiker's
That's all.
Guide.
Well, it turns out, this was for the Atari, so I couldn't actually type it in anyway. I couldn't do any of that.
Spectrum.
But I did keep the magazine simply for this beautiful painting. Little bits of tat like this, Ian. You know, as Doctor Who fans, we pick them up. At least I always have. Have you got a box of this kind of stuff as well, Mr. Ian Kubiak?
I've got a room full of it.
Mm.
I think I liken being a Doctor Who fan to being like a football fan. You know, if you have your football team, you'll go and watch the away matches, you'll go watch the home matches, you'll get the kit, you'll get the sticker book, you'll get the programs. It's just part and parcel of it, isn't it? And I think that's a really great painting of Tom from 1983. If I can just make that out. I think it's lovely, and I think we're fortunate to have this wide range of merchandise, and I think merchandise will be definitely coming back under Russell T Davis's
Looks that way, doesn't it?
return. We're lucky. I mean, being a Doctor Who fan of the late 80s when it was Dapol and then nothing, we are very fortunate. We live in very fortunate times.
Right. Well, I say fortunate. We're all pretty. You don't know what's coming next. Yes, we were talking earlier on about Comic Relief here in 2023, and how we've got those wonderful new pictures of David Tennant as the 14th Doctor. Doctor Who and Comic Relief do have this history. You were talking about it there, Charlotte. Whether the Doctors are in character or not, there's been a tradition of sort of trading off Doctor Who to give us this sort of content every now and again. And 10 years ago, on Comic Relief Night, we were being treated to this little perler. This was the Comic Relief Red Nose Day special for 2013. And it was a Call the Midwife special, but it guest starred Matt Smith as the Doctor, featured the TARDIS, and it also featured elements of another show that was massive at the time called One Born Every Minute, that was set in a maternity ward, wasn't it? So real people fly on the wall, having babies and all that kind of thing. So it was massive at the time. Now, you guys have still turned up, so I know you're still talking to me. But I sent you a link to watch the video of this, didn't I? From all the way back in 2013. Had you seen it before? And what do you think of this ridiculous special, the 6 minutes worth of utter nonsense?
Well, Matt was the best part of it by like a massive yard.
As soon as Miranda showed up, I was out.
Did you watch this at the time, Charlotte? Because obviously you were really into the show back then as well.
I don't remember. I probably did, and because I watched quite a lot of the Doctor Who stuff anyway when it came to Comic Relief, I probably just deleted it from my head a bit. But yeah, no, it's what it's meant to. It's a bit of fluff. It's a bit of nonsense, and I don't know, but it looks like to me Matt's clearly not there. It's like green screen or something, which also made me giggle.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah, so for what it is, it's harmless, but it's like I said, it doesn't really get good until the Doctor appears because I don't watch Call the Midwife, but I'll say after if you gave me this clip and tried to convince me to watch the show, I wouldn't because they were the worst part. It was the most like over the top sort of acting. I know that's the point, but
Yeah,
but like I said, it was nice to that like I said, because you had the music when Matt appeared, you had the TARDIS, and like it was clearly very Matt of his era, early Matt. You can feel as well, which is nice to see again.
In his proper costume. I was never a big fan of the longer purple coat with the waistcoat. For me, this is the 11th Doctor. This silhouette.
Len Fowl. I thought it was absolute bollocks. It didn't make me laugh at all. I remember the first time seeing it. I was so embarrassed for everyone that was part of this sketch. And the thing about comic relief, right, is I don't even remember laughing at any sketch apart from the one with George Michael and
Ricky Gervais.
No, George
Smithy.
Michael.
Oh, James Corden. Yeah,
James Corden. I laughed at that one, but it's very rare that I laugh at any sketches they have on comic relief. It feels so desperate when they do stuff for comic relief.
It does.
It really does seem desperate. And in this, right, it's so awful. The jokes in this sketch were terrible. It was like about as funny as a toothache. It really was just awful right across the board. And when Matt turned up, I went, oh well, yeah, that's good. But still, that stupid. What was the punchline? Jedwood. That was the punchline. I'm like,
yeah, what's that? What's Jedwood?
Jedwood was.
It's probably best if you don't know. This did feature on the plus side. It did feature Jessica Raine from the episode Hyde, and she played Verity Lambert in An Adventure in Space and Time. So that's a nice thing to see her back there. These are good people, I like Pam Ferris a lot. Never been a big fan of Miranda Hart, but I think the things that she does very, very well for the people who like those things that she does. It's never been my cup of tea. And yeah, this I wouldn't say this is the worst comic relief special of anything I've ever seen, Ian Kubiak, but what's your view on these things? I mean, do you take them with a pinch of salt, or do you think they're a crime against entertainment?
I don't think they're a crime against entertainment. I think they're all designed, aren't they, to get you, to donate money. And I know, it's hard. We all live in a very, the cost of living is very difficult for everyone across the world, not just in the UK. But people. Well, I think the mega rich will always be the mega rich, and the mega poor will be mega poor. And I think it's just getting harder for those who don't have as much money as the mega rich. But I think these shows they do raise money. I am aware of the causes and the money it transforms the lives for people, for children and families in this country and outside of the country as well. So
I just wish that they would ask people with huge amounts of money, ask the banks and stuff like that, instead of making us poor people stick our hands in our pockets. That's what I wish, but it'll probably never happen. But it's good. It does change the lives of people, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So. My belief is in generally speaking. I mean, Matthew Pounder says here in the live chat on YouTube. Hi, Matthew. Says it's difficult sitting through hours just to get to the Who segment. Yeah, and you're right, and we all do that. And some of us, I used to enjoy comic relief in the early days when there was a lot of comedy, and great comedy by proper comedians was on there. After a while, it got a bit of a chore to watch, and so I would go to the pub and leave the video running, and then go back.
Did you used to video it?
Yeah. I would never miss, particularly on Doctor Who. If Doctor Who was part of it, or if they're doing a special, if they were doing a special of something like Men Behaving Badly, or what else, if there was One Foot in the Grave, something that I really liked, then I'd say, I want to see that. Because it wouldn't get repeated. Now, Red Nose Day specials always go on the BBC websites. And
on the iPlayer now, it would be like you could just literally get it on.
Be
on
the YouTube channel within half an hour, which of course you don't need a TV license to watch that. Yeah. But obviously, you can choose or choose not to donate to Comic Relief, just like any other charity. But I do think that the era of the telethon like this, it's probably over or in its final days. But I think kids enjoy them more than adults do. To me, they are starting to look quite anachronistic.
They used
but
to
it could
do-
be a while before these things change.
So they used to do the soft jokes in the beginning, and then it lead up to 7 o'clock. It would be a Doctor Who sketch, whatever. And then after that, I think beyond 10 or 9, it used to be all adult stuff, didn't they? Used to have comedians to come out on stage and say rude jokes and stuff like that, and then it'll, combine with the climax of how much money they've raised and stuff that. But I saw it recently. I think it was a couple of years ago, I think, or was it last year? I can't remember. And it was just pathetic. The jokes that they were telling just didn't make me laugh.
The problem is it's become too sanitized.
Yeah,
and everything's become too nicey jokes.
Yeah,
and it's like the sketches that work. Like I can remember the ones that work were the ones that were a little bit more risky.
Yeah.
In the early days of Red Nose Day, particularly once it got after 9, and people like Jonathan Ross, Lenny Henry, when he was, I know there are a lot of people who watch this show and who interact with us through the Facebook groups and social media abroad who don't know anything about Lenny Henry prior to that awful Lord of the Rings thing. Yeah. But Lenny Henry used to be incredibly funny. He used to be a great comedian, and he used to really push it. So it used to be him, Jonathan Ross, Griff Rhys-Jones. They'd have the old school comedians would all be on there as well. People like Frankie Howard would be a big part of it. Billy Connolly, all these people. They really used to push what they could get away with, and put on a show. But I think you're right now, Charlotte. I think when you talk about when there's Zoe Balls gyrating around and people like that, and she's okay at what she does, but it's not really the same.
That's what I was going to say. It stopped being comedians presenting it and just being personalities. So when you're just personalities because you present Strictly Come Dancing or because you present something else on BBC, it's like you need to have funny bone. You need to be able to have that in you when you.
It's called comic relief. You should have comics. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
you should have people that are funny. But you got what is it, Claudia Wilcombe, whatever her name is, and Zoe Ball and stuff. They're not funny. Do you know? They're just presenters. That's the thing. So.
There we are. That's another thing. Another thing wrong with modern television that we've managed to fix here between us on Type 40 Live on a Thursday night here on YouTube with us. Please, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the cloister bell for more nostalgia, more of this, doctoring, uncompletely intended, of what's wrong with 21st telly, and lots more looking back to the golden age of Doctor Who, the people, the times, the places, and the bits of ephemera like our magazines and things like that. Lots more to come, I'm sure, when the diary returns, probably under the arm of Simon Horton, its natural custodian. But thanks for that, everybody. Keep the comments coming. Let us know what you think of all of that, as always. Yes, more golden moments of a completely different kind coming up now. When you visit the smallest room in the house, give it a good old hosing down. Or if you don't feel the call of nature, you can just top up your glass and head back here in a couple of minutes. We're going to take a break now while you check out the fan favourite Type 40 Live Doctor Who ad break, full of lots of memories of them desperately flogging bits of old tat and everyday household items. You know the drill by now. But we'll see you back here in a couple of minutes for more Type 40 Live.
Around the world, there are many extravagant ways of preparing food. But the latest cookers at your local gas showroom are probably more to your taste. We've the elegant Parkinson Cow and Prospect, for instance, at £389 delivered and fitted. Plus skilled advice, a year's guarantee, and expert servicing. We've also, of course, the widest range of gas cookers in town. So why go anywhere else? It's all at your local gas showroom.
Have you got a little...
Hello, love. See, you and Dave got married then? Got just what you need for supper. Tender beef simmered in its own gravy with a tasty pie crust.
Oh, but I've never made a pie.
No, and you never have to. Fray Bentos steak and kidney pie, just like his mother's. She buys them here too.
UK Gold. Prime time, all the time.
Good day. We just put in these plug-in sockets, and you can have a new telecom phone in every room. Now, this model has auto-dialing, an alarm, and a calculator. And may I suggest this hands-free telephone in matching colours for the bedroom?
Yeah, that'll be the story for the bedroom.
Telecom are working overtime to get your new telecom telephones to you. When this brochure arrives in the mail, we're in your neighbourhood. You can even have one in the loo if you like.
G'day. Is that you, Barry?
Ooh, here we are again, everybody. Welcome back to Type 40 Live, your live stream magazine format Doctor Who show, clocking all the fixed and not so fixed points out there in the Whoniverse, both off and on screen. And whether you prefer the fourth or fifth dimensions, whether you're sober or not, back for more. I am here again with my friends here. We've got Matt Pott, naughty boy Matt Pott, Charlotte Shields, Ian Kubiak from Cygnus Alpha Events, and the mega geek himself, Ian David Deers, joined by our friends they're watching over on YouTube and Facebook in the live chat. Let's see what comments we've got to catch up on here. The Amber Nectar, says Peter Harrington. So you having a drop as well there, Peter? Yes? No? Let us know. Let us know what yours is. Love me some Frey Bentos, says Zombie Box Reviews.
Oh, they're still good. I still like a good Frey Bentos.
Where's my little Hoofer? Are they the ones that come in the metal boxes? You've got to sort of open them.
Those are the ones you almost like cut yourself badly trying to get into.
Good stuff. Yes, so as always, we do like to have a culinary side to this show. So let us know what you're eating and what you're drinking and all that kind of stuff. And what you're looking forward to and where you're going. Simon Ashley says, obviously, we're joined here by Ian Kubiak from Cygnus Alpha Events. He's told us a little bit about what he's got in store. He's about to tell us some more. Simon Ashley says, I have literally just booked my tickets for Spearhead Live 2. There we are. So
you were going to say spearmint, weren't you? You were going to say spearmint.
For spearmint rhino. Yeah, old habits die hard.
Well, thank you, Simon. Thank you for getting your ticket. Thank you very much. And everyone else, please do. Simon, you'll get your ticket confirmation email tomorrow morning. So shall I make my little announcement then, Dan?
Please do. Please do. I haven't got a drum roll. But
okay.
I can make you big if you like, in the nicest possible way.
Oh, well, there we go. That's a bit scary, isn't it? So, it will be on the website probably from next week. But okay. I've managed to secure a private autograph signing with a TV legend from the 1980s, in my opinion. And I always used to tune in every Saturday morning to watch this lady. Does anybody have any guesses? She was in Doctor Who. She was in Attack of the Cybermen.
I was going to say Cheryl Baker, but it's even better, isn't it? Oh my God. It's not my all-time favourite Blue Peter crush, is it?
It is. It's Sarah Green. I've managed to arrange a private signing with Sarah Green.
Dear me.
So that will be going live on, literally going live on my website, on the Cygnus Alpha website next week, where you'll be able to get your Attack of the Cybermen DVD cover, VHS cover, or your Blu-ray booklet, or any other merchandise that you'd like Sarah to sign. And she's and there will be a donation made to her cancer charity, which she's a patron of as well. So for every autograph that you buy, there's a donation made to that charity as well.
How lovely. Remind us of the character she played. She was one of the Cryons.
She was one of the 3 or 4 Cryons in Attack of the Cybermen, yeah.
Because obviously, I remember, because she used to host a show called Eureka, didn't she? And Sylvester McCoy was a regular on that.
Right, yeah. And she also interviewed Colin Baker, I think. No, that was Janet Ellis, wasn't it? But there was a lot of
crossover.
God, you should do a show about the Blue Peter Doctor Who crossover.
Funnily enough, we have been talking about that for a long, long time. JT is a huge Blue Peter fan. I'm sure he'll be thrilled to hear about this. But yet, as Sarah Green, I'm not joking, she was my absolute favourite. And this sounds like I know that she started doing little events here and there, or podcasts and things like that. I've heard her talk about the past and about Doctor Who a little lately, but this is certainly the first event of this kind I've ever heard or associated with.
I think it's fair to say that I did invite her to come along to Spearhead Live too, because Matthew Robinson, the director, is going to be there making a rare convention appearance because he lives abroad. But sadly, she can't make it. But we have agreed a private signing, so there we go.
Fabulous. That's an exclusive here from Cygnus Alpha Events, courtesy of our mate Ian Kubiak here. And yeah, that's Sarah Green. And do we have a date on that? What was the date again, Ian? That you're doing
so
this?
the date for the private signing, that's going to be so that'll be happening in April.
Fabulous stuff. So stay tuned. Head over to Cygnus Alpha. Cygnus Alpha. Let's get this right.
Org.
It's cygnusalpha.org. I thought it was cygnusalpha.org. All the links to the website will be in the description of the video and the show notes there, so you can go and find what's going on there with Ian and all his events. I know you've got Spearhead. Spearhead's coming up. That is in May, and you have Time Controller 2 coming up later in the year, don't you? That's a specifically geared around Remembrance of the Daleks.
It is. Yes, it will be. It will be a full one-day event at the location used for Coal Hill School in Remembrance of the Daleks in Hammersmith. So we've got the exclusive use of the location. There will be Daleks. There will be lots and lots of things which I'm not talking about at the moment, but confirmed guests so far are Sophie Aldred and the director Andrew Morgan. And let's just say it's an event that if you are a fan of Daleks, that Dalek story of the Sylvester McCoy era, or any Doctor Who, that is the, I'm saying that because I'm the organizer, but that is definitely one event to come to.
Well, obviously, very best of luck from us to everybody at Cygnus Alpha. They're putting on those events. I mean, I think Lee's comments here in the live chat, it's pretty typical, certainly of the feedback that I've seen. This brand of event that you put together, they're deliberately intimate, aren't they? They're a very particular kind of atmosphere that you want to create with these events. I know you're very clear about what marks out Cygnus Alpha events from other people's events. And obviously, we wish you every success, continued success. And we have, hope to bring you back at some point later in the year. We did talk about this before. Hopefully, you'll come back later in the year, and we can do something very specific. So
and I might bring a friend along as well.
We'll have to see. Fantastic stuff. So yes, stay tuned for more of that. And as I said, if you want to find out more about Cygnus Alpha events, all the links will be in the description of the video and the show notes to the podcast as well. And yeah, we'll see if we've got any more takers. People talk about Ghostwatch. Ghostwatch gave me the willies, says Matthew Pounder. Yeah, Ghostwatch, says Tony L. Flast, says Retro Doc. I thought Flast was Faith Brown's character. I could be wrong. Spearmints from space.
That's what everybody's going to get as a free gift then. I'm going to buy a load of spearmints and everybody can have one at the event.
Yeah, you'd see. Anything can happen here on Type 40 Live, as always. Yeah, anything can happen, and anything can be said. Our general mission statement here is that all views are encouraged, are welcome. We believe in free speaking and big thinking and the exchange of ideas. I can't speak for you guys, but I will talk to pretty much anybody about anything when it comes to Doctor Who, Charlotte. No, but because the way I see it, between the fandom, when we all get together, it's like we've seen it in the live chat today, people talking about, I like Time Lash. I even like Time Flight, because you never know, do you? You think there are stories that everybody hates, or characters that everybody hates, or arcs, or showrunners, or whatever, that everybody must feel the same way about. But I often find that, every story is somebody's favourite.
Yeah, and everybody's got that little guilty pleasure that they can only find enjoyment from. Like, I've got some episodes that I know are rubbish, but I can just sit and watch them and laugh and have good fun with them, knowing that they're meant to be guilty pleasures for me, and they very much are.
Yeah, and that aside, I mean, I think we can, most of the time, we can agree to disagree. I'd say that's, I mean, you know, my mega geek over there, you know, you never pull any punches. I mean, you said the Call the Midwife special was bollocks, and you know, who am I to argue with that? I mean, the amount of times that we say, you know, on this show we put out reviews or whatever, and people say, I can't believe what Ian said, but that's all part. It's all part of the fun. But as ridiculous as the things that we sometimes say on this show are, you know, again, there's odds are there's somebody out there that's saying things that are even more ridiculous. And this week, it's been very much the MO of one former Doctor Who showrunner. Now, all three Doctor Who, well, I suppose four if you count Ross.
I know where this is going.
All three Doctor Who showrunners have been talking in the last week or so, and I've sort of resisted talking about what they've said to some degree, because you know, I maintain that speculation is a massive part of being a Doctor Who fan, part of the fun, part of the continuing story of the show. And as regards Mr. Chris Chibnall, I think we've talked about him quite enough on this show. You know what we feel about him, the things that he said, the things that he's done, and you think, well, what's the point in going over old ground? And then he comes out with the stuff that he's been saying in the last week or so. So, yeah, first of all, Chris Chibnall was at Gallifrey 1 in LA a couple of weeks ago, where he gave a couple of interviews on stage, little fluffy things. And to be fair to him, Charlotte, the man was out there having fun, wasn't he? He's, again, you know, Ian talked earlier on about the Doctor Who community being a family. And in all honesty, I think that within a family, and I'm not going to start banging
sheep.
I'm not going to start banging a tambourine, everybody. But I think a big part about family is forgiveness, and you know, I hope I find it in my heart to forgive even Chris Chibnall in time, and I do hope that he had a good time at Gallifrey 1, and the people who went there to specifically see him, all four of you, really enjoyed yourself and got to meet him and were entertained by the things that he was saying, and you know, got something out of it. I sincerely believe that, all joking apart.
There are a lot of fans out there that like the Chris Chibnall era, and they like Jodie. I mean, me and Shah, we was at Comic-Con in London, and they had like a special section off for her, and there were like hundreds and hundreds of people just to go see Jodie.
Special section, yeah.
But you know, I mean, there are fans out there, and God bless them and all that. But for me, you know, I think differently. But you know, if they like
and
it,
like you said, we can't begrudge anybody from that era that's just
Never
gone,
would.
Exactly.
who wants to go to these events and wants to enjoy them and meet the fans who have got enjoyment.
That would make us, Charlotte, that would make us no more better than them, than how spiteful they have been, how hostile.
Yes, exactly. So we have to be the better people, and we have to go, no, if these guys want to talk and interview the likes of Chibnall or Whittaker, go for it.
Yeah.
Have fun, honestly.
It's also got people like Janet Fielding. Obviously, you know, I've loved Janet Fielding for years, and it's got fresh wind in her sail. She's got more to talk about. She takes a new costume out with her out and about. I think that's lovely too. And you know, I've said on this show and on the podcast, for me, Sophie Aldred was the standout component of that special. I thought she was brilliant in it, an absolute star. And again, the fresh, because there's still a percentage of people out there in Quebec. I don't know if you found this, fans who are because it's easy for us to think of new Doctor Who as being new, but it's been on TV. It's been on for 20 years now. There's still fans out there who are just discovering the classic show, and maybe they'd seen Tegan or Ace for the first time there, and they're now the people who are chomping at the bit for an Ace spin-off show, maybe.
I think it's always lovely when a new generation or a new cohort of people discover the show that we all love. Well, there might be elements of the show that we don't love as much, or we just don't like, but it's lovely. And yeah, I think Sophie was absolutely amazing in it. I was fortunate enough to do a Zoom chat straight after The Power of the Doctor was broadcast did that with Sophie straight away, where she got to speak to fans straight after, and that was just lovely. And I think, you know, Doctor Who is just one of those shows that, I think this is the one question that Doctor Who fans can't answer. Why are you a Doctor Who fan? It's just something magical that attracts us all to it.
It's okay. I say, I think with a great many of us, it's a case of you can't imagine not being a fan of this show. I mean, you know, Ian, you've talked about this. It's been in your life since the Pertwee era, hasn't it? It was just always there on the telly, and you, I think with you, it sort of crept up on you, didn't it? The appreciation of the show, and Matt talks about it in a similar way.
I think the reason why I'm Doctor Who fans because it's entertaining. The episodes that I loved and watched is entertaining. It's just as simple as that. I mean, I am a Doctor Who fan, and there was one point where, you know, I had everything from the Weetabix cutout things that I used to have in Weetabix to the cards, everything across the board. It's all gone now. Majority of it's all gone. But I'm a fan where I will say, if I think something's rubbish, I will say it's rubbish, you know. And a lot of people,
of course,
right, they remember the negative things I say about Doctor Who, but they never remember the good things I say about Doctor Who. And I've said plenty of good things. It's just the human brain captures more of the negative side than the good side. And
I agree.
And make no mistake, I am a Doctor Who fan, and I respect Doctor Who, and I will say what's on my mind, and that's who I am, you know.
And we've always said what's on our mind on this show, haven't we?
Yeah.
And, you know, it's been a big part. It's been a big part of what people enjoy about this show. I think it's what makes us stand out in the current year. You know, I've been quite playing about that, and it's something that we will always do here, even when there's conflict amongst us on the panels, amongst, you know, because we're all friends and we feel perfectly comfortable in disagreeing on these things, because we know nobody's going to throw their toys out the pram, and that's the way that fandom always used to be. I've got a comment here from Raymond Williams who said, my most watched Who stories are completely different from my top 20 greatest stories, and these are the things that we do like to compare. So I wasn't going to lean into this because obviously there are other things to talk about, but the amount of bollocks that Chris Chibnall has come out with over the last week,
you're terrible, Dan.
He is the interview he gave to the podcast Radio Free Scaro. Now and again, I joke about Radio Free Scaro, and but the simple fact is, all joking apart, I admire those guys quite a lot. They've been putting out a consistent podcast every week for the best part of 15 or 16 years. They're the biggest Doctor Who podcast around for a reason. And, you know, whilst creatively we're very, very different, politically we're certainly a miles apart, myself and those guys. But that doesn't mean I don't respect their work ethic. I don't expect what they've put into their show, and that I'm not above saying when they've put out a really great podcast. And their interview with Chris Chibnall, which was recorded at Gallifrey 1, called the Exit Interview, I think it is absolutely essential listening. I'm not saying I would call it riveting, and I'm not sure I'd ever, but it could be the definitive Chris Chibnall interview. Really, they talked to him for around an hour and a half, and they give him room to speak. And Chibnall comes across friendly. I say he comes across as a man who's relieved to have been allegedly relieved of the burden of showrunning this show, which allegedly, certainly as I've always heard, allegedly, they pretty much had to twist his arm to do in the first place. But the things that he's come out with since, I cannot let this stuff stand. Okay, so first of all, he said at Gallifrey 1, he said this, if I'd have done a fourth series, I would have had the 13th Doctor travelling with a different classic companion each episode.
And it'll be female.
So, Mega Geek, would you have enjoyed that?
No. No. You see, look, this show would have been great. Jodie would have been, I don't know if Jodie would have been great, but I'm just saying the show would have been great if they didn't stick the politics and the crap that they put in it. You know, if they disregarded all that stuff, he probably would have. Look, in the future, in history, right? In the future, this error is going to be put down as one of the worst errors in Doctor Who history. As if Doctor Who keeps going once Ncuti is the Doctor. If that's a success, then in history, in another 30 years' time, they'll look back and they'll say this error that this man did was the worst out of every era of Doctor Who. They will say that. It's just the media is protecting it with this stupid. I
mean, Ian, some people. I agree with you, but some people are going to look at this statement and are going to find that quite enticing. This notion, this romantic idea, a 13 traveling with a different class, all these familiar faces. This is what you could have won. But for me,
we lost.
The most important word in this statement is the word "if." Now, who was it that said that "if" was the most powerful word in the English language? I can't remember. Some poet.
Tegan.
Was it? Oh, she did. Yes, she did.
Press revolver. IF. Stands for index file.
Who was the poet? Oh God, blimey! Who was the? Because that was a quote from John. No, I'm not going to show my ignorance, but it was a classical poet. I think.
I was going to say I know the book. I know the classic book "If," and I
Rudyard
think
Kipling?
that was. Yeah, I think that was him. So I know that "If."
It's very easy for Chris Chibnall to say this now. It's like, oh, but if I'd have stayed, I could have done this. I could, yeah. If I was,
I think everybody knows by now he was fired, wasn't he? I think he was fired, but you obviously won't come out and say that.
If my auntie had cock and balls, she'd be my uncle. That's the old phrase that
that one in a long time.
That's the old phrase. He can say if all he likes. It's pie in the sky as far as I'm concerned. We've seen you can only judge people on what we had 2.5 seasons of this man's output. How likely does that seem? I mean, Charlotte, why do you think that he would have done that? I know why I think he would have done that. Why do you think?
I think he would have done that because he was realizing very quickly that his material, his original writing was not landing. So he increasingly was grabbing everything from previous Doctor Who he could. And this would just come across to me if this, let's say in Fantasyland, this got announced as a promotion for the series coming up we were getting. I'd just say, no, Chris, you came into this show saying you weren't going to do the past, that your stuff was going to be the way forward, that you didn't need the past. And now you're heavily relying on it. You're using it as a crutch. And that's all this comes across to me.
It's an admission of defeat, isn't it? We talked about this in our Power of the Doctor review, that leaning on characters that have been built by other people. We saw how
it's lazy.
Instantly, we have all seen Sophie Aldred at events and as herself. I say there is nobody warmer, more engaged with the fandom than that woman. So we know her as Sophie, and yet instantly in that special, she was ace all over again. And the same to a slightly lesser extent with Janet, because they bring with them this charisma, this weight, and knowing that they know their characters, even if the actual texture isn't there in the material, they have that knowledge of the role that they're playing, and he can rely on all of them, I think, from the Doctor Who family, that they would have brought their A game because they love those characters.
But it would have been so much better if it wasn't written by him. That's the thing. I mean, I do like those two actors.
I generally though I call bollocks on that. I think that's probably an idea he's had after the fact. He also said this, that he only ever wanted a female Doctor, which we knew that anyway. Apparently this was something that when they waited for Chris Chibnall to be free, astonishingly, they waited for this man to screw up the series, and they waited for him to finish on Broadchurch, and his proviso, he would only do the job if he could cast a female as the Doctor. He never wanted to work with a male Doctor. This was all political, nothing creative at all. It was him hiding behind ideology. Jo Martin, now I've never met Jo Martin. I've seen her a little bit on Twitter and things like that, and I've seen lots of fan photos with her. Seems like, again, another really warm, lovely woman who likes being associated with this character. She's a human being, and Chris Chibnall refers to her in some of these quotes as pretty much an object. Jo Martin was cast to go further with the diversity of casting the Doctor. This is a human being, Charlotte. I find this so distasteful, it's untrue. What do you think?
I just think, like you said, it shows he didn't care about characters. He didn't care about actual integrity with anything he did. If you're just looking at a part as, I want a female one, I want a non-white one, which is what I'm sorry, for me, that's what he's saying.
Cast a black woman, give her a big gun, and that's fine.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen Jo Martin in other roles. She's a very talented woman, and she loves being associated with Doctor Who, and good for her. But I think she's been treated shockingly by Chris
She
Chibnall.
has been, because even by the end of his run, fans were calling him out for this, saying, "You've cast her, you've said she's a doctor, you've said she's not like from another universe." He came out and said that, I remember, because that was a lot of the speculation. And he said, no, she's a real doctor. So if she's a real doctor, Chibnall, give her actual scenes, not just, oh, she's a memory in one really confusing episode in Series 12, and then she's a hologram in Power of the Doctor.
She shouldn't even be there in the first place. Should never have been created. That character should
We've got. He also said, Ian, people who think the Doctor should remain a man are wrong. Obviously, we've had this conversation.
That's his opinion. That's his
exactly.
Opinion. Exactly.
It's his view, and he's entitled to it.
Yeah.
I would say that it's a subjective question, and so I certainly wouldn't say the opposite. And I find it unfortunate that a man who was running the show, who claims to be one of us, would just say of a massive percentage of the fandom who were against the gender swap, and he did treat it like a gimmick. Well, no matter what he said, he did employ it as a gimmick. That he's just going to write those people off as wrong. I think that is also disingenuous, quite frankly.
Well, there's a lot of people, that's part of Doctor Who. They can't say what's on their mind because obviously it jeopardizes their job. Like for Ian stuff, if the only person that was brave enough to say the Doctor should not be a woman was Peter Davison, and God bless him for that. That's his opinion. He shouldn't be crucified for his opinion. It's just his opinion, right? And it wasn't an attack on Jodie. It wasn't an attack on anyone. They asked him. He told his opinion.
Peter was very clear about what he believed. He didn't tell people what they should believe.
Yeah, exactly.
He spoke very personally when he was talking about his own family. He spoke to the fandom like we are a family, Matt. He sort of reached out. He appealed to the fact that we know him. He knows us. They will realise that I'm just speaking from the heart here. I think he was trying to relate to people, and yet certain portions of fandom just jumped on the guy and drove him off Twitter.
Yeah, I've got my own opinion on Chris Chibnall, but I'm going to keep it to myself. And same with that Jo Martin and
of course,
Jodie. I've had enough of them, to be honest. I just want them to go away, like they tell us to continually go away. Stuff them. As far as I'm concerned, I've got nothing.
He also
to say,
claimed, Matt, that the move to Sunday nights was a massive success for his era.
It was. A lot of people went to the toilet that night.
Extraordinary. This was.
He's on drugs, isn't he?
What an absolute moron. I mean, seriously, just how deaf can you be to what was really out there?
He's saving face though. I don't blame him for saving face. He knows it was a bad thing, and he knows that a lot of fans don't like it and stuff, and he knows it was diverse. Maybe he was just doing what the BBC wanted him to do. Who knows what the real truth is? But what I know is that he destroyed Doctor Who as we know it by changing the origin of the Doctor and doing all kinds of nonsense in the Doctor. That's I watched season 1 and after that I stopped watching.
And moving it to Sunday in was a massive failure because obviously it's a school night. Kids are having baths. They're getting their book bags sorted out, ready for school the next day. It was a massive example of shooting oneself in the foot. And obviously, after initial interest wore off, which was 3 weeks in, it set the series on that catastrophic plummet to the bottom of the ratings, leading to the lowest ever figure in Doctor Who's history. He's also saying that the marketing budget was reduced after Series 11 due to the BBC being under attack. BBC man, don't get rid of the license fee. All this sort of crap.
Can you clarify on that? Is that what that's about? The license fee?
Yeah, that is exactly what it's about. And I'm sorry, Chibnall.
I didn't know if that was
politics again.
I'm sorry, Chibnall. BBC had some other very high-profile shows going at the same time as your Doctor Who. Line of Duty was going on.
Yep.
When that came on television, that got advertised like no tomorrow. You saw
Everywhere.
billboards, you saw trailers, you saw the actors, every like BBC breakfast, everything they could go on, they'd get booked, they'd talk. So the BBC can very much, when it wants to, have a lot of money to a show.
Charlotte, billboards for, specifically, he's talking about Series 11 here. Billboards for Series 11 were everywhere. Otherwise, how did the first week get that? Let's be honest, fair play. The first week got that big figure. People knew that the show was on.
It wasn't just the billboards. I can remember they did a massive Comic-Con that year. It was like a big marquee event they went to, and they had a big panel, and Jodie did that runway thing.
I'm dismissing this as just cheap party politics nonsense. There, evil government attacking the BBC, save the license fee, all that stuff. You know what I believe about it. The BBC absolutely do. They need to be defunded. The license fee is completely outdated. Defund the BBC to save the BBC has always been what I've said on this show, and I maintain that. And people like Chris Chibnall and Russell T Davies is wrong about this as well. Pushing for more diversity was the whole purpose of doing the job. Can you believe this, Ian? He's showrunning a national institution. This is supposed to be the show that he's loved since he was a little boy. But for him, pushing for more diversity was the whole purpose of doing the job. What do you think of that as a creative?
I just think the whole of that era is wrong, and what they're doing now, is wrong as well. I always say this, right? That actually putting people of color in characters that have been there for years and years is like saying that people of color don't deserve original characters. That's what it's saying. And same thing with women as well. If they're going to push women into characters already, I hear they're going to make a Starsky and Hutch female version, which is stupid. It's stupid. So I don't agree with all this at all. I think if you're going to push diversity, let's create something new. Let's move forward with that.
Exactly.
Good
old Idris Elba. Have you seen Idris Elba has woken up and smelt the coffee? Yeah. And he's gone back on all, because he was well into the ideology around a year, 18 months ago. He made a documentary about it, and he's gone back on everything, and he's rejecting the idea of being a black actor. And he's realized that it was all a load of old nonsense, and rejected wokeism, rejected all these silly mantras. And in my view, the actions, the initiatives of people like Chris Chibnall. I mean, I don't believe that his purpose for doing the job was diversity. I think that's something that he hid behind, because he had no idea how to actually do the job once he'd taken it, because he knew if he cast a woman as the doctor, cast a black woman as the doctor, or made those kind of choices, that he would be as immune from criticism as any creative can possibly be.
Yeah, and it also it's almost comes across to me as he's almost trying to say, well, my era was the diverse one. No, before you, Moffat had non-straight characters. He had non-straight relationships. Russell had lots of ethnicities. You go back to Classic Who, you had lots of strong female characters. It was all there before you, Chibnall. So you didn't have to push for anything more. Doctor Who has already had plenty of diversity in the right way, which is actual characters. That's all it comes down to.
Well, the BBC has that remit, don't they? So every time BBC makes a show, they have that remit where they have to basically include regional, right across England, regional areas, regional people in the show. So diversity was always there. At the beginning of the BBC. I mean, for God's sakes, a woman directed the very first, season of Doctor Who. And sorry, it wasn't. It was, she produced it, and an Asian guy directed it. Do you know what I mean? So diversity was always there, because that was their remit when BBC started. But they just racked it up because of these people that came in. Oh, I don't know. I don't care anymore. Carry on, Dan.
Thank you to everybody who's watching and listening to this latest out of bashing Chris Chibnall here on Type 40 Live, but it does need to be said. It's beyond a joke now, and I will not let this joker have the last laugh. Who wants to watch Doctor Who on a Sunday? It belongs on Saturday, says TARDIS time. And yeah, people reliving some of the terrible creative decisions that this man made. We've got another perler here. Okay, so this is in connection to spin-offs. Obviously, this last couple of weeks, people have been very excited about pretty much confirmation spin-offs are on the way. He was asked about this again on Radio Free Scaro, and he said, now the Disney thing is the perfect solution to opening up space, opening up budgets, opening up, being able to have places for spin-offs, but which we want to do, but there wasn't the space or budget for.
I'd insert a fart noise right about now. I just
If you believe that, then I don't know what to tell you.
What a douchebag! I no.
This man couldn't get 10 episodes of a show on screen. This guy wanted to spread those 10 episodes out as far as he possibly could over an 18-month to 2-year period. He complained about the amount of material that was making up the average season of Doctor Who when he managed to get it squeezed down to 10 episodes, and rejected the idea of specials, turned against those. So quite frankly, I don't believe it's very easy after you've exited the show to make statements like this, to claim this, and to claim that, in an ideal world, I could have done this, I could have done that, if only, if only, if only. Forget about what they say. Look at what they do or have done. Everything that this man did when he was in that role points in the opposite direction. I don't believe a single word of this, and I consider it to be pretty much barefaced lies.
Well, I mean, it's not only him, though. It was the BBC, wasn't it? BBC as well was pushing what he was pushing. So, can't only blame him, blame the organisation. Yeah. Sorry.
He's also claiming that he had light conversations about staying in the role for another year or two to make.
That's not what I heard. That's not what I heard.
Can I still use the toilets? Can I still use the toilets? That's what he.
I think light, again, key words. Light is the important word there. Light conversations. It could have gone something, like this. Hey, can I make some more Doctor Who? Can you? Oh, go.
Yeah.
You can take your cards, mate. I had a light conversation. What does he mean by a light conversation?
He probably meant in the BBC cafeteria, if they still have that. Somebody was like, "Hey, Chris, what you doing? Okay, do you want to do some more Who?" Yeah, it was probably that sort of.
I stand by our multiple sources here at Type 40 Live, and we've never said this with any great relish, but you know what our sources told us, and we stand by that, everything that we've said in the past, and I believe that Chris Chibnall is not being truthful there at all, or is leading it to look a certain way and saying something without actually saying anything. And I can understand that it could be painful for him. It could be embarrassing for him. But in that case, it's best not to say anything at all.
Well, he had to say something. He was at the conventions. He had to speak, didn't he? So,
He's got a current job, has he?
I don't know, mate.
Maybe.
Has he got a current job? Is he a showrunner for something else now?
He is astonishingly. You know what he's doing now? He's running a training course to train TV people who want to become showrunners. The worst showrunner, not just in Doctor Who history, but certainly the worst showrunner I've ever seen active in the 21st century.
How to get yourself up to that point.
Absolutely.
The easy way.
Charlotte, I understand you've got to duck out now.
Yes, so thank you for having me, and it's nice to meet you again, Ian, have a chat. So see you guys next week.
See you later, Charlotte. Thanks for coming. Ian, how are you pressed for time? I hope I know we're going hard in on this.
Yeah, wow. I mean, I've got to make a phone call to Chris Chibnall in a minute, so I am going to have to duck out. I'm afraid, but
give him my love.
Yes, but thank you.
Give him mine as well.
Thank you for allowing me to come on the show again, Dan. And thank you to the gentleman who bought the ticket as well. And I hope many more of you will consider coming along to the events that I'm doing this year. Thank you very much.
Okay, so first of all, coming up, it is this is Spearhead Live on the 7th of May 2023. Again, you heard one of the punters has just snapped up a ticket right now as we've been talking. But you can head over to Cygnus Alpha and you can see you can get a full list of all the people, all the confirmed guests, can't they, Ian? And
Yes,
anything that people may need to know about booking up for this event there.
Yep, it's all on the website.
Thank you so much for your company, Ian. I do hope you've enjoyed yourself, and we hope to bring you back on again in the not too distant future. Best of luck.
Definitely.
Best of luck with the events. I do hope to see you at one at some point.
Well, Dan, Evesham's not very far from you.
It's not. I didn't realise until after last year quite how close that was to me. And so yes, I am. Yes, I'm considering it. I know those tickets. I know the tickets are selling like hotcakes, so it's quite possible I will be there. So I'll have to message you about that. But thanks again for your company. I do hope you've enjoyed yourself. I do hope that the ears aren't burning too much after the last 10 minutes or so. Yeah,
cheers.
You
Thanks,
take care,
everybody.
mate. See you again soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And there were 3. There you go.
Yeah, 3 Musketeers back here. Yes, well said, Charlotte, says Wendy. Exactly, Charlotte, says TARDIS time. Matthew Pounder says that diversity has to match the percentages one sees in the country, but the BBC's quotas don't. No, they don't. They're off by around 30% as well. Yeah. It's extraordinary. Bespoke woke is a joke, says Peter Harrington. And surely Chibnall knows how much he's loathed. Loathed is a very strong word, David Mullen. I think Chris Chibnall knows that he's a divisive figure. I heard him say that he'd watched Matthew Jacobs' documentary, Doctor Who Am I, and realised, I think the quote was something along the lines of, I realised that this film is kind of applies to only about 3 or 4 people, I think he said to the guys at Radio Free Skaro. And of course, he's quite right. And I'm glad he enjoyed the film, blah, blah, blah. But I think he does know how divisive his era's been. I think he knows it's failed. I think he's not. I think if he doesn't know what he's done to the fandom, because I can accept that running a show like Doctor Who, it exists in a bit of a vacuum. And if he doesn't know what he did to the fandom,
he knows.
I can't see how he cannot know, Ian, what he did to the show, because anybody who works in television will tell you. You know, we've got people who have worked and do work in television on this show. Overnights are still important. They get them as soon as they come out. They get given them. So the idea that he couldn't have known that the series was literally running into a wall is ridiculous. Of course he knew.
He was driving it though.
Driving the damn thing. Of course he was. Of course he was.
I see.
Thank you for all the comments, everybody.
Pretty nervous, wasn't he, when we were talking about
Ian's ace. I do like Ian. And people have received.
I know he's probably wanting to bring some of his guests, like that Joe Martin and that probably on a.
And people in the live chat, are angry about this and about these questions, because people have asked me and thank you to the people who've messaged me about this. What do you think about what he said this time? And I've said, and I haven't really said a great deal. But when somebody comes out with this amount of crap in a short period of time, I mean, you can't not say anything. He finished off with them. They asked him. I don't know how,
because there was an audience with him too, wasn't there? He wasn't just. He wasn't.
Yeah.
Just
you expect them to be bowling these questions underarm on panels, but. And the Radio Free Skaro, it's a good interview on Radio Free Skaro. It is. Chris Chibnall's never given an interview like that before that I'm aware of. And I don't think he ever will again. Obviously, I would probably have asked questions in a different way. And I would have probably gone a lot harder on him because enough time has passed now.
He wouldn't allow that. He wouldn't allow it, would he? Do you know what I mean? It's obvious that this interview, these people who are interviewing him is under control, and they don't want to say anything that's insulting or anything like that. But I guarantee, if I was interviewing him, I'll ask him all kinds of questions, and I'll tell him straight. But that's never going to happen. It's never going to happen because they don't.
I'd like to know who was interviewing him. I'd like to know who was interviewing him.
They don't want that kind of interview. Those people.
It was a woman.
He knows he's done wrong. That's the problem.
It was. I did have a name, and I can't remember who it was.
If it's a woman, then she's going to go. Oh,
yeah. Is it a woman?
It was very. It was very bland. She seemed a nice person. It was a very bland interview.
Oh yeah, but it's good that she's been represented now, so that's good.
Yes, so he's Chris Chibnall has also spoken to Radio Times this week, and they asked him about, because obviously Russell T Davies has come back to the show after over a decade away, and it's been sensational in many respects. And however we feel, each of us individually, about his creative choices that have been unveiled since May and where the series could go, no one would argue that the way he's whipped Doctor Who back up and made it feel alive again, made it feel important again, and bring people back to the show and anticipating it again is unarguable. And the clowns at Radio Times asked Chris Chibnall if he would consider coming back, and he gave this answer. Oh my God, I've only just finished. I've been across 31 episodes for the last 5 years of my life. Only 31 episodes in 5 years, Chris. Oh, but this is the guy who would want you to believe that if he'd have had his way and the budget that he wanted and the marketing power that he wanted, that he would have made a lot more across multiple more seasons and other shows. But here he is complaining about making 31 episodes in 5 years. There's an incongruity here, is what I'm suggesting. So He says, I've just gone out, finished it last October.
31 too many.
There's no prospect of that whatsoever. So let's go back and make this clear. There's no prospect of Chris Chibnall returning to this show whatsoever.
History's not going to be kind to what he's done to Doctor Who.
I think you're right. I appreciate Russell T Davies said similar things, but Russell T Davies and Chris Chibnall are a world away, not just in talent, but their profile in the industry and their integrity. Russell T Davies, you may not like what he says, you may not like what he does, but he is an honest man. He says things that he believes, and he tends to deliver on them too. And Chris Chibnall never has. And
he's just a better writer, isn't he? Russell T's a better writer, better
man.
We'll see, right? Because the diversity and inclusion, and I say inclusion, it's still this whole, I hate to use the word, but woke thing is still playing in our entertainment. So it would be interesting to see what happens next with the Doctor Who thing. And it's obvious that Chibnall combined with the BBC, that's what resulted in what we got. In Doctor Who, I would have forgiven anything.
How desperate were they to get him? That's what
I would have forgiven anything for Doctor Who, but them changing and for diversity purposes, them changing the actual origin of Doctor Who, that for me was a crime in itself. So
you do have to wonder, because you hear him on the podcast, and he doesn't. It doesn't sound like an evil or hostile man particularly. And I have no doubt that it's been hard for him being publicly being seen to so obviously fail in such a high-profile position. Yeah, and I have a certain amount of sympathy in that respect.
But you see, right, it's we're not in echo chamber. I was watching, my mum loves watching The Chase, okay?
Yeah.
And there was a contestant in there. And I think he had a go at Brandy Walsh about Doctor Who. Do you know what I mean? So we're not in an echo chamber. There's a lot of people that feel this way about the last iteration of Doctor Who. A lot, more so than the fans that actually support it. Put it that way. That's what I believe, anyway. You know
what the thing is? The audience also got that joke as well, though, Ian.
They did. They laughed.
Yeah.
And it's obvious they cut it off. Because I think he had more to say, that guy, and it was like an abrupt thing. So I don't know.
TARDIS time in the chat here on YouTube says it could have been a lot worse. Could have been 42 episodes.
Yeah.
David Mullins says poor Chris Chibnall, so overworked. He did make several other comments about other things. I mean, John Jordan says here. I mean, it does get even more preposterous, to tell you the truth. John says, I do laugh about what he said about the almost cancelled Flux, because they did not have the budget. In other words, they thought it was terrible and wanted to act. I think they probably did realise it was going to be awful.
How bad it was going to be.
I never saw Flux.
It sounds like something you put in your toilet anyway.
Yeah, toilet Flux.
Yeah, so that is... let's just enjoy this one more time. They asked him,
No.
"Are you going to come back to the show?" And he said, "Oh my God, I've only just finished. I've only just gone out. I finished it last October. There's no prospect of that whatsoever. Please, Chris Chibnall, be as good as your word. Do not darken the TARDIS doors again."
Well, we'll see, right? We'll see. We're hoping that
watched
Russell
and listened
T
along on YouTube
is
and
better
Facebook.
than.
I
we're
just
hoping
want
that Russell T
someone to
can be
really,
better,
really
right?
call him out. I don't want him. I don't want him
Do you
to
remember?
be abusive or anything. But I just want someone to say, "You
destroyed it." Yeah, no, but you remember, in the old days, Dan, the BBC used to have those shows where they used to invite an audience. And
Open air, points
talk
of
about
view,
a particular thing.
fight
Yeah,
back,
yeah,
all
yeah.
of them.
And they used to have an audience, right? And then there would be a presenter, and then they'll have the creators there, and they'll talk to them, and then people would say what's on their mind. If they did that with Chibnall, he'd be slaughtered. He'd really be slaughtered, wouldn't he, by the
would
audience?
be out of there like a rat up a drain pipe. Would he be gone? He'd be gone. Yeah. So that is the end, I think, of the Chris Chibnall story. I can't imagine even he will know to lie low. I would imagine eventually he will give an interview to somebody somewhere about Doctor Who.
I think he's like hemorrhoids, to be honest. He'll reappear at some point.
Quite likely that things he says next time could be even more ridiculous. I may comment, I may not. What do you think, Matt? I mean, it is, at the end of the day, my general feeling is that it's all over and he's gone.
It's not over.
It's
not over.
But he is done. He's over.
Done, yeah.
And I would much rather leave it all behind. But I do feel that was almost like an epilogue, really, and unfinished business. Yeah, and Paul Morris said he had the gall to attack Pip and Jane Baker live on television. I mean, yeah, he was 15, 16 years old, but it is ironic when you look back at that. Yeah, I was going to talk about other quotes as well, but I was enjoying myself so much there going on Chris Chibnall that we've run out of time. So yes, please keep the comments coming, everybody. Let us know what you think of all of this, of the ridiculous words of Chris Chibnall there. Let us know in the comments section. You know, there's other stuff that he said as well. I know there's other quotes out there too. And go and check out Radio Free Scaro's episode, The Exit Interview. It's around an hour and 3/4, I think, actually, from the three guys who usually host it, Stephen, Chris, and the other one. I can't remember his name. Oh dear. Warren. Stephen, Chris, and Warren talk to Chris Chibnall there for quite a relaxed interview, but obviously it is from the horse's mouth, and good for them for getting that interview there.
Yeah.
And tell them that we sent you. Not sure what they'll make of that. Yeah. Okay. So let's wind things up, shall we? Let's wind things up. Where are we? Here we are. Oh, how could I forget the pretty pictures? As if I would. We're rounding things off with a last look at the view screen, our regular eye searching out for the prettiest of pictures out there in the Whoniverse. And yeah, if you are a fan artist, you know a fan artist that you think we should have an eye on their work on their Instagram account, or wherever they show their wares, whatever they sell on Etsy, please let us know. Get in touch with us and tell us about them, or tell us about you and what you're doing, because we want to know, because the reason that you do that is probably for the same reason that we do this. He says, getting it ready. Yeah, all for the love of Doctor Who here at Type 40 and Type 40 Live. That's why we do that. That's why they do it too. And so we like to share in it and spread the word about fellow creatives out there in the community. Don't forget, there's the Type 40 podcast on across all major podcatchers there, and type40.podbean.com. That's where you can get audio editions of these very shows there delivered to you in chunks. Get them in your ears when you're washing up or on the school run, whatever you're doing. You can have us as your constant companions in all of space and time there to relive these live streams. And there's the Type 40 podcast too. That's reviews, previews, geekheads, and deep dives about the entire history. Those 60 years, 6 decades of Doctor Who history, all that kind of thing you'll find there on the podcast, with some great interviews coming up. We recorded another one the other day. Yeah, it's really special. You're gonna love it. Okay, pictures. Where should we go first? Yeah, so we had that picture earlier on of the 14th Doctor there in his new gear. And the fact that a lot of these pictures are on white backdrops, it's a gift to fan artists, Matt. People can take them and do whatever with them. I haven't even got a name for this one, but it's a cracker. This is a poster for 60 years of Doctor Who. And it's done, well, you know what it's done. It's in the spirits of Marty McFly there. Got the 14th Doctor doing the Back to the Future pose with the flames and the road and the Drew Struzan style airbrush lighting thing. What do you think of that, Matt? Is that up your street?
Oh yeah, that's right up my alley. 1980s, anything 80s is cool. Anything to do with 80s. Back to the Future as well. I just love it. And I don't know, where did they get the photo? Is that image from the Power of the Doctor, or is it from?
No, it's from this new set of comic relief images that have been. There's been about 18 new images put out. We've shown a fraction of them here tonight on the show, but there's a few.
It would have been even better if he put Christopher Lloyd in there with him.
You're quite right. Mark Milford asks, how about a special show just on Doctor Who fan art? Well, on some of the Type 40 extras exclusively on the Spacebook YouTube channel, you will find my interview, my chat with Connor J. Adkins, and we talk about his work, his beautiful murals, and that's here on the Spacebook channel. Go and find that. And I'm making every effort to speak to more fan artists in similar shows like that. Obviously, where we can get down, open up their portfolios, and Matt can come on and do it too. And so we'll do just that. I'd consider bringing a set of fan artists on for a special panel show, maybe, but we'll see. Let's know what you think, what you want in the comments section.
Do you know what I think of this poster? I think he should have got rid of the fire, definitely. Should have got rid of the light.
Okay.
Right. And we should have seen the TARDIS properly. We should have seen David Tennant properly and have a streak of fire going down the road, like in Back to the Future. That would have worked much.
That's what the fire is supposed to represent.
Yeah, I'm saying, but it's not. It's bad though, isn't it? Look at, there's too much of it. Yeah, so you should just remove that fire, have a streak going down a road, get rid of the light, have him looking at his watch and the TARDIS, and that would have worked so much better.
Everybody's an art critic, honestly.
Yeah, than what's presented, in my opinion. But it's just my opinion, and it's a good piece of art anyway. So whoever done that.
Considering the images only came out
changes if you'd commissioned it though.
Considering the images only came out 48 hours ago, that's pretty good. It's pretty good going. We've got this from the artist Blair Shed as well. So back a few Doctors to Matt Smith. We were talking about Matt Smith on his Call the Midwife crossover earlier on. Here he is in this beautiful piece by Blair Shed.
That's nice.
I thought he'd be more of a dog person, but anyway,
it's really nice. It's really it's in its style.
Matt Smith and his pussy.
But it's really that's terrific. Absolutely terrific.
The fact they've got matching bow ties on as well here.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah,
very, very warm, and
you should have a cat in the TARDIS, don't you think?
Yeah, that's what I was just thinking. He should have a cat.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
I think some Doctors, probably should.
Should it be something like out of like Captain Marvel, where it was like an alien cat?
Oh no! Don't mention that film. It's terrible.
Oh God, that's
coming out of its mouth.
Yeah.
Columbo had
a
dog, right?
Well, you brought me Chibnall. Come on.
We'll look at cartoons next, and back in the classic era for this one from Ian Cartoons. I think we've had several of Ian's work, so there's too many Ians on this show, isn't there?
I know.
This one is a moment. A moment from a classic story that I think everybody loves, from the Ark in Space. Here we have it recreated. We have the bubble wrap moment there that everybody remembers, recreated in Ian's signature style, I suppose you could say. This is from a couple of years ago, but I'd never seen it before, and I just really like it. I think Ian always captures likenesses very, very well with very few lines, and who can forget that moment with the bubble wrap and the frozen look on the guy's face there as he takes in what he's about to become. Yeah, wonderful stuff.
Bubble wrap monster. Yeah. Oh well.
Moments of your nightmares recreated, Ian. There, you can sleep a bit easier tonight. Knockout, says Crimpling to Blue. So people do like that one. Yeah, and let's finish off with what should we finish off with? Oh yes, this one I think it has to be this one. So, Ian, you have said to me, you've voiced your distaste several times to me for the Coral console room that we had in the Russell T Davies era. I get the impression that you prefer the TV movie one that Paul McGann.
I do like it. You
do, don't you?
What are you going to give me? Let's have a look.
Okay, so this is from a friend of the show. He's been on several of our review shows. Jaspreet Singh, who writes the odd article for DWM. He writes the reviews for Doctor Who magazine now, and he sent out this. He's a big fan. He's a big fan of a man with a big frilly shirt. This is what he's put together.
Oh, fantastic!
The third Doctor.
That would have suited him, wouldn't it?
In the Eighth Doctor's console room. It just looks so right, Matt, doesn't it?
I love the Gallifreyan symbols because they weren't brought in until the Tom Baker era, was it? Those actual symbols for Gallifrey.
That's right, yeah.
And his jacket matches the console, doesn't it? It's brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Yeah. It's really cool.
That's one way of looking at it. I don't know if that's what Jazz had in mind. I have to ask it.
Flash Gordon, it looks awesome.
Yeah, it does look, and I like the symbols on the pillars and stuff like that. I love the Doctor Who movie. I don't care what anyone says. I think it deserves to be in the history of Doctor Who.
I think more people like that film than don't. I really do. Somebody in the chat said earlier on, said, somebody in the live chat earlier on, Matt, said, I hate to admit it. I think it was TARDIS time. I hate to admit it, but I really love the TV movie. Like it was a big guilty pleasure.
I was really surprised. It wasn't until this last horrible era that I actually found out that there were people that didn't like the TV movie. I was like, but it's Doctor Who, and they're like, no, it's not. And I'm like,
when it was released, there was I know all my friends hated it. They were like, "Oh, Doctor Who's kissing someone. That doesn't work," and all that stuff like that. And I out of all my friends, I was the only one that said I thought it was really enjoyable and it had money put on it and it looked great. And they just looked at me like I was a piece of turd. But anyway, such is life. So I think history has proven that film is worth having in the history. Even Russell T hated the movie. He didn't consider it canon at all. But now he does.
I don't know if that's true. I've
it
heard
is
him say
true,
some
because if you ever watched
really
that
nice
TV
things.
show that he made, the one with they actually say it. He wrote the script for it. The characters actually say it. In an I can't remember, what was that show called?
Queer as Folk.
That's it, Queer as Folk. If you look it up on YouTube, there's an actual clip where the guys around the table and they mention the film. Like, no, that's not canon. One of them says. So there you go. That I assume that's what Russell T
I
thought.
don't know whether that was. I mean, it might have been his view at the time.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think it's been his view for a very long time, because he's spoken about it as early as 2005 with a great deal of praise and affection. So I don't know. But lots of people, the minute you mention the TV movie, the minute you put this up on screen, people are saying exactly the same thing that you just said, Ian. And reliving 1996. I think Jazz has been very sensitive there in the way that he's graded it and matched the colours. As you said, it put to his jacket. Yeah, it's just lovely. Yeah. Really nice job. And the ideal sort of marriage of the new and the classic. It's funny, I consider the Eighth Doctor part of the classic era? I probably do. But it's still new to me. The 90s is still new to me. So they're a lovely image to finish off on. Thank you everybody for being here for this edition of the show. I do hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Thanks for your company, Matt and Ian. It's been a different kind of show, different kind of blend. But you know what? I do the things that Ian Kubiak does, and it's not just Ian. He usually says, actually he didn't tonight, but I know that he always says this. It's not just him that puts these events together. I know he's got a dedicated team of people that make that happen. And so I'm really interested in seeing how it all evolves. And you could see in the chat, people were impressed and people booking up. So thanks again for that. All the information about Cygnus Alpha events will be in the description of the video and the show notes to the podcast. You can go and peruse and decide which event could be right for you, which one you'd like to book up for or not. Or maybe look out for virtual events and signings, like his signing with Sarah Green, exclusively revealed on this show this evening.
Didn't even know who I had to Google her. She's quite warm and quite nice in her day, wasn't she?
You're talking about the woman I love?
Yeah, I didn't know who she was.
Seriously, when I was a kid.
I know who Sophie Ellis Baxter's mother is.
She was
her
lovely.
as well.
Absolutely lovely.
That's my fetish level. Female Blue Peter presenters. Stick any woman next to a golden retriever and a tortoise, and I'm down for it.
What was her name?
What about Yvette Fielding?
What was her name?
I did. I got it for her as well eventually. Not like Sarah Green though. My God.
Who's that one you mentioned just now, Matt? The
Sophie Ellis Baxter.
What was her name again? I can't remember. She was in Jigsaw.
Something Ellis.
She was in Jigsaw. Do you remember? I used to
also with Sylvester. Yeah.
Yeah,
we didn't have those.
So Sarah Green worked with Sylvester on Eureka, and Janet worked with him on Jigsaw.
Jigsaw, yeah, blimey, that's a long time.
Peter
ago.
Harrington advises: don't get caught by the Nymons. I'll do my best. I always tuck mine in pretty tight, so yeah, I'll do my best. Same to you, mate. And yeah, Paul Murray, he's having flashbacks to the TV movie there as well.
Love the TV movie.
Excellent stuff. Okay, what have I got to?
Yeah, sorry.
Oh no,
As
no,
always,
Grace,
yes.
no. I saw her recently.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you for all the comments there. And if you've seen any art there that you like, go and reach out to those artists and get in touch with Ian Cartoons.
Just tell them you liked it. That's all. You don't have to give them money, although that helps.
Exactly. And yeah, yet again, I remind you that we're all ears and eyes to any fan art that you want to show us, whether it's your work or the work of someone that you admire. Get in touch with us through our social media, Instagram and Twitter at Type 40 Doctor Who, or you could even go one better. You could bring it to us over in the Type 40 Facebook groups. So we've got the Type 40 Facebook group and the Type 40 Doctor Who DVD and Blu-ray collectors group. So you can go over to either of those and share fan art, fan covers, all that kind of thing. And yeah, let us know the kind of stuff that you like, and always credit the artist too, just like Matt says. It means the world to anybody who's a creative. And yeah, you can chill out with other Doctor Who fans there too, across the generations. So classic Doctor Who, new Doctor Who, and looking ahead to not all new Doctor Who. The speculation will continue, the news will continue, and the celebrations will continue as we head there. We get to that 60th anniversary in a few months' time. We've got some theme shows coming up, more event shows, as well as a big Easter parade show, as always. Matt, enjoy the rest of your day. As always, thanks for your company, pal. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks very much for having me again.
And Mega Geek, I'm glad you could fit us in there between courses.
Yeah, this is my third course actually.
And everybody out there on YouTube and Facebook, thank you as always. Please subscribe to the channel. Check you're still subscribed if you believe you're subscribed, because YouTube is a bit naughty like that. And check out the podcasts and the playlists. Keep the comments coming. And yeah, that's it for another show. We always have the time. If you have the space here at Type 40 Live, hold tight. Take care. We'll be back next time.
Bye.